Welcome back to the Finding Truth podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan back at it again. And tonight's episode, we will be, I think I'll be touching some of the headlines. I think potentially I go through the catalog of King Richard's website, kind of highlight his website. People should be looking at that at least weekly, catching up on the decodes he puts out, as well as I will be covering the Lindsey Graham death. We'll look into that. It's pretty obvious. Zach has done some excellent work on it already, pretty much highlighting most of the main points in there. But we'll take a look at it because it's just a bunch of mockery. It's plain to see that these big time deaths come around sporting events, and that's no coincidence, as well as just being as closely related to Trump as he was. It's another case of signing on that dotted line, and you never know when your number's up, at least taken off the stage. I'll put it that way. But I will quickly take a peek at the NASCAR race, which is still underway. It's a later race, so let's see. Take a look real quick. It seems to be there's some sort of stoppage at lap 108, but we'll see where it picks up. I do want to share something. I put out a community post, but I do want to share something that just a random thing that I found, because I didn't have a lot of time to look at all the drivers or do some of the stuff that we were doing last year by comparing many of the drivers, doing all their birth numerology, all that kind of good stuff, and then the latest wins and their comparisons to drivers who drove in that number. There's a lot to do with NASCAR just because of the nature of it, unless you're really tuned into the narrative like me and Austin were last year, where we were able to tell a lot of the races just based on the narratives. It's not like the numbers weren't there. The numbers are there, but it's a two-pronged attack. There's definitely a narrative in play, and once you're keyed into it, it kind of opens up, kind of like the Matrix. You can just start reading those numbers and seeing what they're doing with it. This season's a little bit more up in the air, but needless. What was I going to say? Yeah, anyway, either way, we'll take a quick look at the race as it stands. I'll get this out of the way. This is in Atlanta, and so far the poll, Blaney's still leading on poll. The numbers are a little bit messed up because it's, first of all, the tracker on just regular Google has been screwy the last couple of weeks with like the other races, like the truck series. Excuse me. Excuse me. With the truck series, of course, the truck series and the O'Reilly's races. So it's been weird to look at those, at least on the Google tracker. But sometimes it does this too, and I'm not exactly sure. I would assume potentially there was a caution, and that's what this means. It's just, I wish it was a little bit more clear. Like there's an up-to-date explanation of what's going on. Maybe there is like a tracker I could be using, but this has worked fine in the past. It's just sometimes a bit interesting. I did want to kind of highlight a specific driver though. If you guys remember Talladega, who had a first-time driver win, Carson Hocevar, and let's try to highlight him. Right now, he's sitting pretty. He's been hovering around third, fifth, eighth. He polled on 14th, so potentially, I'm not sure what Vegas looked like, but he could have had some value putting it on him. I would assume he's only won one race ever, so polled, at 14th, I'm sure that there'd be some decent. Not saying he's going to win. I just think that there's a lot of synchronicities with this particular guy for this race. If you remember that Talladega, let's bring that up. Or we can at least do the driver averages, just a little bit easier to see. And not to mention, he's the top driver at Atlanta. I didn't even notice that. But averaging the best in the last so odd races since 2023. He's had the best finish, average finish. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that actually. Yeah, he's there right there and easy to pick out. So let's see. Go to career wins. Obviously, he's only won the one, and he drives in that number 77. And this was earlier this year at Talladega. Now it was on April 26th. So if we come over here now and we check out from April 26th, obviously this will be in weeks. So, but oops, not 2025 here. But yeah, 11 weeks ago, being 77 days, was his first win and his last win. So him being in the 77 car, that was the first thing that caught my eye. I was like, that was 11 weeks ago on the nose, obviously. 77 days, and he's in the number 77 car. So other things I was no idea what that was. Some loud bang in the back, but anyway, hopefully that wasn't picked up too hard. You look at like the envelope, how they'll put it like on the race, like the address for the venue. They'll spell it Atlanta, GA. So it's not me just pulling it out of nowhere. It's not like I got an envelope from NASCAR saying this, but that equals 77. You look at what else is it? Is it Atlanta, Georgia as well? No. Okay, the suburb. I cannot spell. No, it's just like I misspelled it. Oh, sorry. Hampton, Georgia, where the actual track is, and me and Austin have been very thorough at tracking these, like where they actually set up the tracks and how many times it pays homage to the rulers of this world, unfortunate rulers of this world. They have their numbers all over the tracks, and these tracks were built obviously a long time ago, so these systems have been in place for quite some time. But that's another 77. Now you have Echo Park, the nickname for the track, the new name for the track. It used to just be called Atlanta Motor Speedway. That equals 77. Echo Park Speedway equals 77. Now, yeah. It's not called Motor Speedway. But then the old name of the track, or the other name of the track, because it's also still called this, that also equals 77. So I was just going through this, and I was just like, man, 77, bam, bam, bam. There's just an entire list of 77s here, one after another. And of course, for him to get his second win, would be the second one in 1 year. This would be kind of a coming out party for Carson Hocevar, and they've done that with other drivers. Obviously, look a la Tyler Reddick. He is on a generational tear, but just found it quite interesting. And another interesting thing about it too is he's just re-upped his sponsorship, and so they put a lot of money behind this guy as well, to continue racing. Now, one thing I am a little blanking on is I don't even know if I looked up his team. Oh, Spire. Okay. So that's another thing we can look into. When's the last time Spire race? Who all drives for Spire? Let's take a look. Okay, Suarez, McDowell, and Carson. Okay. A lot of sevens, 777 there, 7, 71, 77. Interesting. So the last win they got was Suarez. Let's take a look at when that was. May 24th at Charlotte. Okay. "49 days ago." So 7 weeks. Let's take a look at Spire Motorsports. Got that 177 and the 84, very popular with a certain group, the Jesuit Order. As you see there, the 177 and 84. So the next interesting little factoid, and you know, this is one I struggled to. I mean, other than the Jesuit Order, I mean, I'll throw this in there because it's always fascinating how these numbers rear their head. But if you take a look at Mr. Carson here, his birthday is January 28th, the day after mine. And I think it was to his next birthday. Let's double check. Yeah. It's 201 days, a span of 201 days from his next to his next birthday from this race. So I found that a little bit interesting. I'm not sure if it, you know, it's not a cementing anything. It's just always funny how those numbers seem to pop up. And I'm sure there's a lot that we're missing in the ritualism that they do each week. And I wouldn't be surprised if the people who are running these organizations have affiliations, widespread affiliations, and would like to get these numbers. I mean, just think about last year when every race, maybe not every race being obvious. I'm not saying every race wasn't. I think every race did pay homage to the Pope in some way, shape, or form. But some were much clearer than the others, and so you had those Catholic numbers, those Pope numbers showing up all the time. Even though you ask a NASCAR fan, they're like, "What do you think of that the Pope is or that they're rigging these races, you know, to pay homage to the Pope?" You know, it's just, the hell you talking about, boy? You see him out there? He turned left to save his life. You can't tell me they can rig that. So sorry, I always default to redneck, but I think we all understand. Now, so yeah, there's just interesting. Like, he's one of the first drivers I looked up to, and I wasn't even privy to much of this is before I even saw much of the 77s that I brought up, but just another interesting thing to keep in mind. Now, that's all. With that being said, there's still a lot of time in this race, and I don't know if they're off of whatever stoppage they're on. It's, once again, I can't tell if they're still on a stoppage or just this tracker's trash. But I'll try to keep up with it as we go on with the show. But yeah, without further ado, I will get our esteemed co-host on here. Everybody, loud welcome in the back for Uncommon TruthShaman. How's it going, man?
How's it going? Not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Pretty lively week I've had. I'm busy, but good.
Same here, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I was just refreshing them on. I put a community post out just because I did have a little bit of time to look into the race this week, and I only looked at a couple of things. And one of the first things I looked up was a particular driver, Carson Hocevar, and there's just not a number shot out at me. Could be just, you know, obviously these things can be coincidental, but like his next birthday being a span of 201 days away. All the 77s, he drives the number 77 car. You got things like Atlanta, Georgia, Hampton, Georgia, the actual county that the track is in, Echo Park, the name for the track, Echo Park being the nickname for the track, Echo Park Speedway being the assumed new name for the track, but they also still call it Atlanta Motor Speedway. All of those having the 77 connection. Found that pretty interesting, along with the team he drives for having the this
I had no idea Atlanta Motor Speedway changed the name. I mean, I'm in Georgia too, dude. I had no clue.
Yep.
Like, I saw the Echo Park, and then I looked down and I was like, oh damn, that's in Atlanta. It's like, okay.
We can look at when they did, because it said it was like relatively new that they did it.
Yeah, I literally just saw that post like right before I got on here. I saw your post that you made about the Carson Hocevar. I was listening to the race earlier. The guy that does, he just calls it on YouTube or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was listening to it until it went to the lightning delay or whatever. But
so there is an odd delay. A lightning, you said?
Oh yeah, it's storming down here, and yeah, so it was lightning delay first, but then it was showing that rain was going to come in there, and the guy was saying it didn't look like the rain would clear up till like 11 or midnight, and then so they might do a late race. I'm not sure. I know it was close to being halfway for like an ability to have the official race, but it was just short of it. Whenever I saw it, did they ever go back after the first delay? Do you know?
It doesn't look. No, I was just mentioning how it's been stuck on this 108 for quite some time.
Which is, I'm sure there's something to that, man. Oh, see, it's stuck on 108.
Of course. Huh. But you got the pole sitter being, winning at the time, Blaney.
I went with Chris Bell, dude, number 20th race. So I threw $5 on it. It'll be like $85 if it hits.
Oh, dude, nice. And
he was 32nd. I was like, shit. When I saw that he qualified 32nd, I was like, damn. But by the first stage being over, he was up in top 10 somewhere. And then
he's sitting fourth right now.
Yeah, exactly. Hell yeah.
Woo, I definitely noticed that and wanted to mention that as well, because that was our soft call last week off the back of the 19 win on the 19th race.
It worked last week. I had to roll with it this week, dude. I had to go with it.
Very interesting. And if they do, it's just
oh yeah,
that'd be great. And what's funny too is I think Atlanta's one of those 33. Was it Atlanta?
I know we're on the 33rd parallel.
No, what is it? Maybe not. The ATL. That's what's 33. I knew there was a 33 there.
So but, I didn't know it last week at the time, but it wound up being that today is also 20 date numerology as well. So 20 date numerology, number 20 car, 20th race. That's what I got going for me. I hope it rolls through, man.
Man, date numerology is iffy with NASCAR.
Oh, dude.
Because
date numerology is iffy in general.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Now, it'd be funny to it'd be funny to infiltrate these systems and get like an understanding and realize that it's like a coded mechanism where it's like certain paths are used for certain situations. And so it's really a detriment almost to look at every path every time you do a decode.
Absolutely.
And so because it's pretty clear sometimes that they're using it, but dude, there was this one time it was the most insane date numerology setup I've ever seen, and it was just a bust. And I think it had to do with Bell as well, because isn't Bell's birthday is like 333?
Like you can do the best decode and have the best narrative that possibly is out there. And that still doesn't mean that that's the one they're going to go with, because at least from what I've noticed, I mean, everything is double, triple coded, every event. And I don't think they just budge off of the result so easily, but I do think that they give themselves at least a couple angles on some things as well. So
I think Christopher Bell, the guy who had that insane narrative. It was like there was date numerology of I think he's the 333rd day of the year. I'm pretty sure December.
Sometimes they do it like that too, as a mockery. It'll have all this stuff lined up. Like I've noticed that with Aaron Judge in the MLB. He's number 99. And so Jupiter 99, and you'll have 99 date numerology on September 9th and blah, blah, blah. And it's like he's locked up for hitting his 99th home run against this team. It's all there, and he'll go 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. It's like, that feels like it's intentional.
But see,
you know what I mean?
Just think of the day and age we're living in with Kalshi and all these places where you can bet on anything. So there's so many mechanisms of moving money. So it's just like, in a way, having a primetime hitter go 0 and 5 is how many people put that? Like Aaron Judge is going to go 0 for 5, no walks. Like that.
Right.
That's a bet in and of itself. That's like potentially unlikely.
Yeah.
So there's probably people that made bank on that.
There's a guy who does baseball for Zach's Patreon. He stays with baseball, and he's all about the props because that's where you have the value.
Oh,
He was rolling
during the game.
He's really good with homer props, dude. I think he just hit like 3,000 last weekend. I think he did one day last weekend. He turned I think he said he turned like $100 into 3,000 off of homer.
I really think specific areas that you hone into for things like that, like players and their, like in this case, props and their what numbers they're sitting on and what numbers they can go into. Those things I think have a level of reliability higher because there's no going backwards. They can't go like negative. So I don't know. I think that that's definitely a good avenue in order to decode, and especially if you're trying to sell your concept or your ideas. But as far as like picking up on narratives, it's tough.
Well, that's what you got to do too. Storylines, politics, or news in general. Like Zach says all the time, news and sports, and it's like that. It's like the same drama lines that are happening in current events. That's what they play out in these games, in these leagues as well. I can't remember. There's a crazy connection with LeBron James and the World Cup. Every time the World Cup happens, LeBron James changes teams. Right?
Really?
Yeah. Or every time that LeBron James has changed teams, it's been during the World Cup.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's more accurately because I think he's had stretches where it's been longer than 4 years, with a team. So it's like, but every time he changes teams, whenever that action is going on, LeBron James is going to a new team, it's during the World Cup.
Doesn't he own a soccer team? Yes, Liverpool FC. He's part owner of Liverpool. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't. Yeah. Today, someone called in on the Patreon about, I guess, a part owner of the San Francisco 49ers became part owner also of the Seattle Mariners, right? And so, and I think the Mariners were sitting on 49 losses while a 49ers part owner just became part owner. And so they could stay on 49. And then someone brought up that their next series, because tomorrow starts the All-Star break, the All-Star game, the home run derby. That's all happening like the next few days. But their next series right after All-Star break is San Francisco, where they can pick up their 50th. Where was it? San Francisco equals 50. I'm thinking.
And we've talked about this several times, how they'll like insert subconscious or subliminal type things, and they'll keep that rolling over a period where, like you say, they'll point it out now, so they'll get it started now. And before you know it, it's going to implant in your head, because over the next week or so, you're going to see certain characters of that team or both teams, or, the Giants or whatever else as well, and being a San Francisco representative. And then you're going to get that, that matchup right after the All-Star break. So it's just implants these things they want in there.
Oh, yeah.
The Rangers having a good season. Okay.
They are, yeah.
Well, this is more emblematic of what I'm used to. I used to be a pretty big Mariners fan, but unless we were setting the pennant record, we were having a fight for 50% almost every season, or terrible. So
yeah, I've always liked the Mariners, man, because I used to be huge into baseball. And I guess it was Zach. Whenever I came across Zach, because I used to be a huge sports fan. I mean, dude, that was like somebody died. It was bad. Because I played sports growing up, all that stuff. And so, but the thing I'm proud of myself on is that I wasn't a person being that much of a fan, and just like, I played sports always. I broke my nose like probably 15 years ago, being well into my adulthood, because we were in a rec basketball league every Thursday nights for me and my dog trainer company friends that we were all playing in the league. But it only took one video Zach break. It was something sports related. It was Gematria Effect Sports Channel way back then. You know.
Yeah, when it was like just as
one video.
popular.
It literally took one video, and what I saw him show and explain, there was no question. And I mean, I was 100% a sports fan, and literally his first time I ever saw his breakdown of Gematria. I think it was Kobe maybe, and I was like, wow. It was the information. I didn't struggle with the fact of having to and try to make sense of it all. No, he laid that out perfectly, crystal clear. And I immediately went into kind of like that. Let's work to the acceptance stage of.
Yeah, skip the denial.
Yeah, because like this is the grief that has to happen now and set in, because what he's saying is facts, dude. What he just pointed out, absolutely, I don't have to question it. Damn, it's all rigged. It's fake. This is great.
Absolutely. And what's so good about like his presentations too is because it cuts right through and it doesn't like leave you hanging up on an emotion or something like that. It tells you, he'll tell you straight up how it is. He'll prove it right in front of you. So it's like you don't even have time for your brain to like make up excuses. And the people that do, those people those people have a superpower, a villain's superpower, really, to kind of like have super denial as your superpower is. I don't know if that's, something you really want to hang your hat on, but it really does take like an extraordinary level of, what's the word? What's the word? The popular word everybody likes saying when you just turn your back to the truth. Anyway, we'll stick with the
guess,
for now.
A lot of that though probably is because I had started opening my eyes, waking up. I had some years into that whenever I came across a Zach video, and so I'm sure that helps. If it was like the first one, maybe it would have taken me watching a couple of videos. But now that I think about it, I mean, I was already coming around to some things, right? And so whenever I saw him break it down, just like you said, I think if the struggle is there, it's an instant test. A Zach video or decode is like an instant test for whoever the person is ingesting it, of how thick of a layer of cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance. Thank you. That's it. Yeah. So how much I got to shave off here till I can finally? This shit is just like it's undeniable, dude. Undeniable. Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Like I was saying, I was a pretty big Mariners fan. One thing I can say to prove my case of how big of I was a big sports fan in general, Seahawks, Blazers, and the Mariners. But I had a copy of MLB. Well, it wasn't MLB. It was like the earlier versions before. I can't remember what it was called. Damn. Either way, it was like an old version, very old version, and I would sit there and I would print out the new roster every year, because this is before they had like updated rosters with each game, and you could like download. If you had an older game, you could download a new roster, so you didn't have to buy the new game to get the roster. This is well before that, and I would sit there and I would make every single character from fresh and to inject them into the league so I could play another year. So yeah, I was I thought that was fun. I'm also into like doing little tidy tasks like that too. So it's not like it was like I was just so crazy, but I already like doing that kind of stuff. But like I was a big fan of the Mariners, especially. I was at the game that Griffey got his last home run with the Mariners against the Yankees.
That's what I've been to so many games growing up. I countless of all types of sports. Like, so, a huge baseball fan. And it's just like, I don't know. It's almost, now that and it didn't take super long time, but now that with the stages of grief or whatever, and definitely the acceptance, and it's undeniable. This is what it is. I mean, it's fascinating though. Still, you still, I think a lot of people, once you wake up to it, you got to be careful, because you can still get trapped. As far as it taking your energy and all this kinds of stuff, because it is fascinating how they rig these games to the point. You know what I mean?
Well, I think a lot of people don't get to the actual rigging of the game. They get stuck on the top down, just like the NBA right now, how they're telling you there was all like this network of people rigging prop bets. It's just like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm sure that, there's no magnets in the balls. There's no ref. Let's keep it at the MLB though. Think about the major controversies over the years. I remember coming up, like when I was in grade school, it was a bit Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa going for the home run title, and then just very next year, steroid allegations. The whole league is up. Barry Bonds is, all of them. They've been circling Ken Griffey forever. He's definitely a roider. He just never got hit with it. I don't know why they keep that lid on. Maybe it's just because of his status and they want to use him as first of all, he's an analyst for MLB, unless he's not anymore, but he used to be. So that could be a reason they like having him around and not having his history marred. But it's pretty obvious if you know the guy and you've seen him when he was younger and slightly older, the shape of his body, he is definitely a roider.
He's like a professional wrestler, but playing baseball.
Yeah, and he went from like a little skinny dude. It's I'm sure he's natty.
You were talking about the 98 home run race. I was at one of the St. Louis Cardinals games. I saw Mark McGwire hit the farthest home run ever hit at Old Busch Stadium, the Busch Stadium that they're at before this. It was one of the cookie cutters, in 98. They were still in that one. It was like a 545-foot home run that still was going. It literally smashed into the sign, like the dead center field, so far up. And after that, they put a Band-Aid over wherever he hit.
I know about that.
That was his farthest, the farthest home run. I was at that game, dude. I saw that home run hit from bat to unreal. Still to this day, even though I was a kid back, I was 11 years old. Is so fake, dude. You know what I mean? I saw it with my own eyes. I've seen a 545-foot home run, and there had to be technology, dude.
Well, I mean, they've already proven that teams were what they'll call corking bats. I think that is a primitive technology at this point, that they're definitely using things that are much, much more sophisticated than that. But also the ball, the ball itself, they're very secretive about the balls. It's very, to me, it'd be very easy for them to use straight up baseballs, so that when they hit these home runs and they go into the stands. But first of all, I've heard about the people in the security at baseball games being very stern about getting those balls back. And they'll say it's for, certain milestones for the batter or whatever it is. But I don't think everybody's able to leave with the baseball that they catch, or especially foul balls. And so, but I would almost bet that, especially foul balls. First of all, if you guys don't understand this, professional baseball players can foul a pitch every single time almost with 90+%
right.
Accuracy. They can foul it for sure. Fouling is an art in and of itself. In baseball, especially where extended pitch counts change the dynamic of a game, because pitchers are, pitching long seasons and they have to save their arm. And Tommy John is such a threat with every single pitcher, which I also think is BS, because how come something that's been known for so long is still so prevalent today with all the technology and all the science behind it? Why is still everybody throwing out their shoulders or their arm? They're throwing out their arms and shoulders, just going higher than 90 pitches when they pitch. They pitch every 5-6 days, and they can't throw more than 90 pitches. That's just still okay, I understand they're throwing very hard, and I understand all those mechanics, but these guys are paid so much. Anyway, there's just so many mechanisms for there to cheat. But if you ever watch a batting practice, if you throw anything that's remotely in a batter's wheelhouse, they can crank that thing in to never ending. Add a corked bat, or let's just say corked bat, a mechanism for it to hit further. Which, by the way, the sports science guy who died, that was a big story not that long ago. Oh, what the hell is his name? But anyway, the guy who did the sports science show, and he would that show was them telling on themselves, but in a tongue-in-cheek way, saying if they were to use this, if the magnets in the basketball, he did that. They were doing all sorts of stuff.
One of the coaches, I think it was in one of the big. I think it was one of the big teams in college basketball. One of the famous coaches, one of the higher paid coaches. I can't remember who. He just said this within the last year or two. Like it was like, you know how they go and the reporters will go interview the coach as they're running into the locker room at halftime. Mm-hmm. It's so like inopportune. Like, are you serious? Get out of my fucking way, you know? But it's like, it was one of those. He's running to the locker room. It's halftime. And she was saying something like, hey, what are you guys going to do for the second half? Blah, blah. And he literally said something about magnets in the balls and to get it in the rim or something.
JJ Redick has said it as well in the NBA.
That's who it was, actually. And it was him. Well, did he say that as a player or as a coach?
No, as a coach. He was a coach. He was coaching. Yeah, okay. And they interviewed him. And
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. It's just, of course, they use JJ Redick too, you know, former podcaster. So he goes from player to podcaster to coach. I think that is a trend that will continue, because the podcast, you got to understand, that is a way of keeping a certain level of relevancy. And I think that'll happen for a lot more players. Just think about all the players that are in the circuit. The idea that like Kevin Garnett would like never like assistant coach anywhere. Like, I guarantee you he'll be a coach somewhere. This is the cycle they keep moving. But like KG, he's heavy on the podcasting circuit. He's all the time. Paul Pierce, he has his podcast. There's just never ending. They all got a podcast. You might as well just all of them have a podcast. I mean, Steve Nash and LeBron had a podcast or have a podcast. There's so many out there. Me and my son joke all the time, because like the clip farming, once people like really open up to like the media, the news media, the sports media, and the entertainment, how they latch onto you and how that they stick you in these little ways. It's such a clever tactic that they use, but like they've always used short form media to get, you know, to reach larger audiences. Maybe these audience never go and check out your long form stuff, but they'll at least see your and that's where clip farming comes from. And whether it's, you know, streamers, or nowadays you have, you know, equivalent with these podcasters, they'll use clip farming techniques to get people to look at their long form stuff, or at least, you know, give them some motion in the algorithm, whatever. And but in basketball, it's so repetitive and annoying. They'll always start in the middle of a sentence, and you know, even, you know, it's just, there's a formula, because everybody does this. It's always the same exact thing. They'll start like in the middle of a sentence where you're just supposed to assume the context, and it'll always be like, so often it's Kevin Garnett or whatever, and it'll just be like, whether it's like, what was your, you know, my welcome to the NBA moment was, you know, 95, went into the locker room. You would never believe who I saw there. There he was. Tim Duncan right there. And, you know, I went up to him, and it was almost like prison. You know, I went up to the biggest, toughest guy, and I got to make my mark. I'm new on the team. I mean, coach just brought me. It's just the same. I could make them. I could do like 8 more right now. I could just rip them off right now. They're so easy to do. Everybody's heard them. They sound the exact same way. It's just they tell you this stupid story. And it's like, what it is it's giving credence to the realism with these like hyper famous stars, and them just living like everyday lives in the NBA. Bullshit. But like, there's no way in my mind that these people are just living everyday lives and doing everything they need to do, and just going to the gym and working on their craft. And that's what we see every game, is like their hard work, determination. It's like I already know that that's not true. Whether you guys do, that's all, you know, everybody has their own, you know, their timeline of figuring these things out. But yeah, these guys are in on it. You can use a guy like JJ Redick to deliver another truth about the magnets in the basketball. It's like, I was a, you know, big fan of the Blazers and Damian Lillard hitting that, you know, huge, he hit 2, one against Houston, but the one against the Thunder, you know, in Paul George's face, that was one of the more famous ones. It's like, look at that bitch. It's like, since when are people putting spin on the ball? They're not. There's no one's curving the ball on purpose. Now, you could make a case, because like there is, you know, with actual science or whatever, you know, you can say that from a longer distance there, you know, I play enough basketball. I understand that the ball can like somewhat curve and everything, but in this day and age, obviously you have the David Blaine, is it magic, is it magnets type stuff. Look at football too with the magnet balls and the magnet gloves. And before that, it was just, what everybody agreed to be using was just sticky gloves. First of all, how annoying. What are we doing out here? It's like you couldn't catch me dead wearing sticky gloves if I was playing football. I'm catching that ball. I'm dropping the ball. Right. Like, that's the risk you take. You're either a great player or you're not. You don't just get to use sticky gloves and still say you're a great player. If you are, take them off. But the fact that there's still some version of them in the NFL today, and obviously it's like I can assume, like a crazy play, like who's the one that caught it one-handed and pinned? I mean, there's
Odell
enough. Odell Beckham's iconic catch, and there's several of them nowadays. But
David Tyree with
Tyree, that's the helmet.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. What? I mean, obviously, there's a sticking thing happening there. You know what I mean?
And with all the technology on the field anyway. There's so much technology. Everybody's got technology on them at all times. And then you have, the things that actually increase your performance, physically. And it's just how close are we to, they hint at it all the time. How close are we to, the cyborg games? It's like, it's coming.
You're talking about the sticky gloves, right? And I think maybe kind of a deeper seated root to the whole sticky gloves thing, because you asked a good question. It's like, I don't need sticky gloves. I either catch the ball or I don't. And like, that's what makes you a good player. But when you start putting on these like, equipment for advantages like sticky gloves, and then you have the argument like, oh, well, this good receiver Jerry Rice back in the 80s, he didn't have the sticky gloves, and look at the catches he made, so it cheapens it or whatever. But what you're doing is you're going to get probably a split 50-50. Half the people are going to have like their kind of evil rooted, in my opinion, evil rooted sense that they're a sellout. They'll sell out for anything. Their ass has a dollar sign on it. You know what I'm saying? They'll sell it. That's what I mean. Like, so they're going to go ahead and say like, well, I mean, if it's not illegal or against the rules, do it, man.
Yeah.
And they don't care. So half the people, or maybe more, are going to be like that. The other people who actually do kind of have a little bit of moral integrity that kind of hold off on that and are saying, well, no, and they're raising that same question. Like, but how can you even compare that to like a Jerry Rice or whoever back in the day who didn't have these sticky gloves? And what an advantage, those people. Well, what you're doing with them, you're still going to get them too, all of them, from desensitization. Because this is the sticky glove bullshit is just going to happen. And by season 3 of the sticky gloves being a thing, dude, the other people who actually cared, they don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
They've seen it for 3 years, So you
another good point about
moral degradation. It's moral degradation. I think it is a deep-rooted element to that.
Yeah, getting people who are even though they're lost in the sauce, they still have a moral standing on the issue. Yeah. Those people will even stop having that moral standing by the end of it, and then you got us where you want us. But also about that is, it's like, I'm not blind to the idea of I know what I'm saying. It's like, oh, do it or don't. So you don't drop the ball or you do. They can't have that. They need a player to catch the ball when they catch it. They need a player to drop the ball when they drop it. So I know why they use them and what's going on. I'm not blind to that. I know I kind of it seemed like I was ignorant of it, but no, I get why they do it. But the fact that like sticky gloves are like a thing, they're not even like banned. Like, I think a certain level of them are banned, and there's been talks about banning them, but like, why would they ever not be? And doesn't that go way back to even like Flubber? Wasn't that a thing in Flubber? Robin Williams movie? It was like basketball
because it would go crazy. So
but it would either catch it, it could activate or unactivate.
Right.
The Flubber was like smart enough to like stick or be bouncy or be innate or inert.
We forgot all about that movie, man. That movie was wild.
Yeah, Robin Williams. I mean, he was they made him as big of a star for a reason. Like, Mrs. Doubtfire is a creepy ass movie. Every movie he is in is insanely creepy, and they all have like kids in it. Hook, super creepy. Granted, I liked Hook growing up, but Mrs. Doubtfire is insanely creepy. He the son walking in on him taking a piss in the outfit and like seeing his junk. Like that's a weird thing to add in. Like, couldn't he just hear that he's peeing as a man? Like, why do you have to walk in and see his own dad's? I mean, it's weird. It's weird. But I mean, there's countless movies that just do weird shit like that. There was a whole movie based on like a child CEO.
We're roughly the same age. So like these movies that kind of what you're talking about, that around those times, all of them have that in them. I've seen there's different videos, truth in movies videos and stuff that do breakdowns. And yeah, I mean, it's eye-opening to go back and see these things being pointed out of, you know, any one of these channels that will do like truth in movies or decode. Instead of watching the movie, it's like them showing what the symbolism is, you know, and yeah, it's super messed up. Well, everything we were watching growing up, any of the classic movies that you would think of that come to mind of someone around our age. What's super interesting is seeing it now and seeing how much, like, remembering that being said or that scene happening, and just trying to think back at how that just totally consciously went through me, but obviously we're seeing it for a reason. The subconscious has been imprinted on, you know what I mean?
And I have a belief that every movie, every piece of media, like cinema media, is archived, and it is a representation of our history. And they've shown it to us a million times, and how they show it in different ways is the artistic element of movie making. But almost every movie tells roughly the same story, and they'll hide little sprinkles in here and there of other truths that, you know, because you're gonna have a grand story that is just like, this is this and this is that, but there's all those micro things in between that also have a place to be told. And so they'll pick their spots of what story they tell. Maybe it's set in ancient Rome. Maybe it's a mythical place. Maybe it's however it's modern day, or maybe it's the 40s or whatever. But they'll always, in whatever realm they pick, they will give you things and show you things that are true to your past, your present, or where you're going. And then they archive them. I'm sure they're good. These guys are good at indexing. They can archive them, and it would almost be a mural or a mural of, or whatever that's called, a mural of our, you know, timeline through these movies, because like they understand these directors and the people above the directors, they understand the artistic, the actual artistic meaning of these movies. And then you have some people like you're mentioning that understand how to decode these movies. I consider myself one of them. And it's a naturally trained thing. I've always picked up on this in movies, and I already knew about foreshadowing. So I already knew that to look for that. This is before I ever thought about looking for the symbolism. Yeah. It's like you catch a 666, or you catch the circle 3 pose, or the triangle, or the hidden eye, which they do it, guys, in every single movie. They do it in different ways, and that's the artistic part of it. Every single movie they do the hidden eye or the one eye symbolism or whatever. And there's a lot to be said about it. But like I said, there's a grand story that is always told, but then there's like they tell it through the lens of like a micro story. And once you like understand where you're at and what it's talking about, it'd be interesting to like do a movie on here, or like do our homework on a movie and do that ourselves. That sounds fun. Because I've watched people do it and it looks fun.
When you were just saying like that you've always been good at it, I was about to suggest that, like, yeah, break down a movie, man.
Well,
yeah.
I'll put the feeler out right now. If you guys want us to watch any particular movie that you think was like drenched in symbolism, obviously there's ones that are known to be any Kubrick film, whatever, is obvious. But anything, there's lots of them out there. Maybe it's one we've already seen, but who knows? I haven't rewatched every movie from my childhood and up before I realized that it's how to, what I'm looking at. So even rewatching a movie is basically like watching it all over again for me at this point.
Yeah,
so
well,
give us
every decode, like there'll be the certain things that are common elements or whatever. But where's that movie Backrooms that just came out like relatively recently? Well, I watched I think 4 or 5 different people, just different channels that I kind of watched that wound up all doing a breakdown, like a decode of that new Backrooms movie, and I wound up within a few weeks, they all wound up had done a video of a decode of that movie, and I watched their video of it. So I saw like 4 or 5 different breakdowns of that movie. I still haven't seen the actual movie, but I've seen 4 or 5 people break it down, which I don't think I need to see it now. Really, that's what a good decode of a movie. I don't even have any desire to see the movie after that, because if they did it good, they just explained it so well that I don't even, there's no point in watching it anymore. I know what that movie's about. And it was kind of cool. Like, who do I like the best out of all of them? I think as far as that goes, the Backrooms movie breakdowns, there's a guy named Isaac Weishoff, and he picked that name. I think his channel is like Occult Symbolism. Occult Symbolism is what his channel is called.
I've not heard that one.
He's good, dude. He's a very good symbolism, occult symbolism, like decoder and breakdown, and he pretty much does anything that kind of is happening. But because that movie was coming out, and I think I liked his decode the best, I would say, out of the people I watched.
It's called Occult Symbolism.
Yeah, Occult Symbolism. Isaac Weishoff, just like Adam Weishoff, that's not his actual name. It's just he picked that, I guess. I've heard him tell the story because he gets shit for it all the time, being in like kind of the truth realm.
And having Weishoff as his last name.
He's like, what, are you related to Adam? And he has to explain that all the time. So I think he kind of, telling that story, I think he kind of regrets it, maybe.
Well, do you know, I hazard to say it, but the inception of this channel, it definitely is purposeful in the same way that he's kind of does it, but it is natural as well. So it's weird. I'll just spill it because I don't know if anyone even cares to do this. But I was thinking one day maybe we would get big enough to where people would start looking at us to see if we're agents type of deal, and then it'd be fun. I mean, it's also shooting yourself in the foot because it's like that's what anyone would say. It's just like, oh, I did that on purpose, or but Unscripted Truth TV is a 201. And what's funny is I had a list of 4 names, and I had them I have them in a notebook somewhere. It still exists, but they were similar in spelling and stuff like that. And I was just coming up with names to shoot Austin and see, which one he liked best. And then I got the idea to do the gematria of them. And this being the first one, I punched in the gematria calculator. I was just like, oh, no, that's the one, because it's got the big old 201.
So the first one you put in there popped the 201 up.
This was before I ever thought about looking.
That's the
and you know what? It's even more.
There is an organic side of the code, man.
Yeah, because I was not just looking up. I had a name for what I wanted, and then I had to go on YouTube and see if that name was already taken. So I think I had one name, and then that was actually already taken.
All right. No, dude, the organic side of things is that unbelievable. It's fascinating, I mean, especially once like someone like you, it has to happen all the time. Things. Just the other day, dude, my birth year popped up was my which that's different, but I did think that was interesting at the grocery store like 2 nights ago. They totaled out, and I was like, oh, dude, that's the year I was born, really? And it was like a total 88 cents in tax too.
The way I think about it is I think that there is something to it. The Matrix it is kind of we're just talking about, how the truth in movies kind of concept. And you look at the Matrix, which is basically telling you that, sure, it's like people will go off the walls about simulation theory. I don't think that's necessarily the core concept of the Matrix. In fact, the Matrix is kind of like keyed in on intelligent design, not like, well, first of all, there is an intelligent designer of the simulation. I understand that, but I'm saying like not just of the simulation. Like, I think it's playing off the idea of simulation theory, but it's actually showing you that it's something more like the numbers are what is the best word for it? It's like not clue, not marker, but it's like if you're paying attention, you see, it's like the lady in the red dress. It's like that lady in the red dress is just a code in the simulation or whatever, but that code itself, you don't notice it unless you're paying attention. Like, you don't know, or, I guess the red dress is a bad example, because that's one of the things that they want people to see that isn't the truth, kind of thing, that's blinding you from the truth. But in the opposite of that. So the fact that he's, once you tap in to the system, the code, you're able to, download books into your head within a second type of, anyway, that is kind of playing off of, what is that thing in, when you could go lucid and you could access the Akashic records, that
lucid dreaming or something.
Not just dreaming, but like, monks and people will talk about, like, certain spiritual beliefs will say that, you can enter a state to where you can visit the stream of consciousness that everybody is on subconsciously. And some people have made it into their consciously. And so you can see the records of the world and everybody, like, that's like called the Akashic records or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember what that state is called. It has a name. It's a really cool name for that. The state. Oh man.
Let us know in the comments if you guys think of it. Because I know what you're talking about.
I had I did yoga
say.
For like a year or maybe a little over. I did yoga, and my yoga instructor was like she was pretty legit, man. She that's where I learned a lot of stuff as far as like, a certain, I guess, Hindu and Buddhist kind of like, things, or just things I didn't know. And it was very simply vocabulary, or what certain things are called. And what you're just talking about, like that state, she told me about that. She gave me a book that was really good. Yeah, never mind. I can't remember.
No, you're fine.
It's been like a handful of years. But yoga, something to
that. Like the Krishnas or I know that has to do with like the spiritual chakras or whatever. But I'm not too sure off the top, but as far as I can see, the race has not continued. Just an update, everybody. So still stuck on a 108.
I mean, they like. What is your opinion? I was thinking about this earlier. Whenever they were going into the lightning delay, as far as like the race goes, and it happens in the baseball games and stuff too. I mean, they do weather manipulation. You know what I mean? And so, I just find I don't think now, being kind of aware of, especially the sports side of it as well, like directly, because I pay attention to that. As far as like the numbers go and mess around with the games, WNBA is awesome. But anyway, these rainouts and stuff, like they have to do this on purpose, I think. Like a lot of these are on purpose. Like otherwise they could steer this stuff out of the way. You know what I mean? They could cancel these out just as much as they can make them, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. And
I don't believe rainouts and postponements. I don't think they're accidental. I don't think they have to play a doubleheader on the next day. These things seem intentionally or strategically set up like that. Or if they had to push the race back to the Monday for some reason, like there's a reason for that. And like they made that storm do that, in my opinion.
Well, in just like the short amount of time me and Austin were on here, we documented actually 2 cases of what very much seems like weather manipulation in order to garner a certain outcome. Now, personally, I know it to be true that they do this. As far as what you're saying about sporting events, I almost double down on it, because I know of the specific. They're on a script. They are on a it's not. They might have some. There's not a lot of plan B in this. Like when a sporting event is canceled or whatever. Like look at how many times it's like it just happens to be something else available, and some form of entertainment available, an award show or whatever. It matches up perfectly with that, or but if you guys understand like the strictness of a schedule in any league, NFL, or it's just like, that's why, in the entire history of the NFL, there's only been one canceled game. It's like, that's pretty crazy. The Damar Hamlin game, but as far as like rainouts and everything like that, we've documented 2 of them. One wasn't a rainout, but it was very fishy that they go to Mexico and it rains, and it hadn't rained there for a grip. And the guy who wins, SVG, of course, he wins in the WeatherTech car. And, there was just there was a rain delay, which, guaranteed him the win as well. But aside from that, the more well-documented one was the case of, William Byron picking up a win. Well, William Byron Lee, the governor of Tennessee, was at Bristol for the MLB game. Now, he was on that game at that game. That was a Saturday game, but this like celebrity tournament, or not celebrity tournament game. It was like the NASCAR MLB game. It's like they had like, it's a special game where they set up, they go to a NASCAR.
We're talking about the Braves versus the Reds game.
Yes, absolutely. Even the outcome of that was scripted with the numbers, and it had to do with I lost the exacts on it, but yeah, either way, that game got rained out. Now, Bill Lee was at that game. He was hosting that game. He as the governor of Tennessee, and that doesn't quite line up because William Byron's not racing. So they rained it out, and there he is on Sunday at Bristol at a NASCAR event in the headlines while William Byron's winning elsewhere at another NASCAR track. So, and every win Byron got was matched up with that governor. And so far, that governor's been pretty quiet and is on his way out soon, as well as like being kind of like the only controversies he's ever got in his career is happening right now, where people are actually wanting him out.
What's his controversy?
It's not like one thing. It's just like kind of like
this guy sucks.
What happens? Yeah, it's just kind of like sentiment just implodes, and you get a bunch of people who are stuck on voting to make their lives better, who rely on in every way on third party organizations and things to structure their life, yet they think they're the ones that should have any say on what the whole happens for the whole. You wonder why we live in shit. It's because there's so many people that are willing to live in shit personally, and they think that their vote, like they have the ability to like vote in somebody that would change that for them, and that's what they vote for. And that's why campaign promises are the biggest, obvious. They're the most obvious and the most relied upon lies that have ever been told. Everybody buys into the campaign promises every year and votes in a system that doesn't work and is fake. And when they get shit, they're like, oh, you know what? It makes sense to them when they get shit because they're used to shit. But they think they're not the kind of people that are willing to pick themselves up by their bootstraps and do something about it. And so they'll, cognitive dissonance themselves into voting for the next guy because maybe, just maybe, this one will give me a program that helps me out, or send a program this way, or send some funds this way. That's not
never happened, but this time it's gonna happen, man.
It's just that next man up mentality, man. I tell you what.
Well, you know what? You kind of like whenever I was a little kid, right? And as far as politics is concerned, whenever I was a little kid, I knew something smelled funny when I was a little kid because people were weird. At least back then. I guess you got to take this into account too. We're in 2026 now. I'm thinking back into like the 90s. Okay, because obviously I wasn't voting in the 90s, but the topic of politics, super taboo. It's like there's like an etiquette to it. You're not supposed to ask, like you see, or you can't ask someone who they voted for. And it's this whole
I remember that
and blowing and inflating things into something. I don't think that, like, I don't understand. I don't understand why we're making a big deal out of something like like if you think something's right, or if you think something's wrong, or someone's right or someone's wrong, I just don't understand this whole secretive, like, oh, it's not respectful to ask, or, you know, don't tell people who you vote for. This is just weird, dude. And that was when I was a little kid. I just noticed it was just weird. People behave weirdly when it comes to politics or voting and stuff. And I said, it always rubbed me the wrong way from that. You know, that's before even knowing that, oh, it's all rigged. This is just fraud, and this is bullshit. Yeah, okay.
Well, keep this in mind. We're dealing with, you know, high-level psychologists, and think about, you know, what happens when the government top-down puts a lid on what you should and should not talk about. What is that reaction within a generation or two? Think about war. You know, what happened, you know, when they tried to put a lid and make war taboo. You have the sexual revolution in the 70s and all the protests and everything. You don't think those were by design? Well, look nowadays. People's names are who they're voting for. Like, people, you learn who people are voting for before you learn their name. That's how, like, everybody, it's like a badge to them. You know, the last regime that made everybody wear certain badges, it's like, they'll sit there and say, you know, that person's so bad, and then they'll be acting like that. So but yeah, it's just like they put a lid on it and they made that thing taboo. And for those generations, I will say it worked. And that's, I think, one of those things was it was a social construct that people were willing to do, because there was a level of understanding that in disclosing certain things, you run the risk of alienating relationships that don't need to be alienated, because, and it's not coming from a place of like understanding and knowledge, and it's not like they're like realizing that what, you know, it's because if they were to argue about, you know, if they were to disclose who they're voting for, they would argue about certain things that just, you know, they're not able to fix. So why have that mentality? I don't think it was coming from there. It was more of a convenience place that, you know, we want to maintain these church relationships. We want to maintain these school family, you know, families who have kids in school that are friends together, relationships. And I remember back in the day, book clubs were a big deal. Book clubs used to be massive back when in the 90s. So you had moms meeting up for book clubs, and they didn't want to Avon clubs. They didn't want to ruin those. That was their getaway. They don't want to ruin these things.
Tupperware parties. There are things called Tupperware parties.
Of course.
Try to explain a Tupperware party to someone in 20.
It's like an excuse to drink.
Like, dude, he's out of his mind. Someone help him. He's talking about
that was an excuse to drink. Just like, I mean, all the book clubs were wino parties, to be honest. Yeah. And yeah, the Tupperware parties, I'm sure that they were. Look, this Tupperware
with a lot of these is that it's a avenue for someone to go get smashed. You know what I'm saying? Like exactly. the race, like getting tanked. Yeah.
No, but yeah, they put these systems into effect, and you know, this is, you know, they wanted this outcome. They wanted people to feel suppressed so that they would fight against that. And what's the natural outcome? Now you have everybody so hyper acute on what party there are and what party the other person is. It's like right now, it's like in relationship sphere, you know, people will not date the other side. People will not talk to the other side. People will not do anything with the other side except attack potentially. And you have this volatile thing going off. Whereas, can you really say that like the taboo was worse? Much like you're in the South. That's a big deal on like etiquette and stuff in the South. Can you really say that the bourgeoisie, like etiquette people in the South, is that really worse than what's going on in the like more liberal regions where people, everything's right off the cuff and nothing is, you know, held back, and people hate somebody before they ever talk to them? So it's one of those things where no, freedom shouldn't, there should be no like lid on your what you can do with freedom, but there should be a lid on what you should do with yourself. That's where morals come into it. But like a system that kind of imparts taboos, historically, what I've seen from them, I would much rather have that. I think that, like, at least that's a system we should go back to and then figure it out. Let's not try to fix this system. Let's go back to that system and try to fix that one. That one's manageable. This shit is chaos, in my opinion.
Well, that's what, like, and I agree with you, and that's a great point, dude. I'm happy that I heard that because, well, it's like it makes sense to me because I have nostalgic, back to the '90s. Tendencies, or like I think about it a lot, like just like, damn, like, dude, life was just so much different back then. It was awesome. And like I prefer a day, no matter what your age is. I mean, obviously I was a kid, so people would try to probably like cheapen maybe, oh, you're just wanting to go back to your childhood, that kind of, you know what I'm saying? But no, it's literally just how like a day felt and just how society ran. I long for just the way it was to have an experience in a community back in the 90s or the early 2000s even, man. It was way different, man. It's very, to me, my personal opinion is going out in the community today is super unpleasant. It's unpleasant. And you're talking about the Southern hospitality and stuff, and it still exists. And like when I run transport vans up to the Northeast and back down, obviously, being in in the city, in New York City, there's a certain way people are, and you could see the contrast, but the whole Southern hospitality, that like nice nature to people, because we're down in the South, and I'm even in a mountain town. I'm in a little small town, like I've told you before. You do find it, but nah, dude, it's dead. Our morals, societal wide, dude, they're over with. And that's why it's like so much nostalgia is a big thing, is because like that was when I think kind of I agree with what you said, and I think part of it is like what I'm hearing out of that is that there was morals, there was a moral system. You shouldn't be tamped down to where it's like super oppressive, but we need some sort of standards in here morally to like function, because I feel like today we don't have that. It is just like you were saying, chaos, and it's not functioning worth a damn, in my opinion, really.
Yeah, and it's too bad too, because like you said it's something that was just like so that resonated with me so much. It's just like the feel of a day back in those, like, dude, just you saying that, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that thinks about that kind of thing. But like the 90s days felt so much better. Even you said the early 2000s, but not only just felt, they smelled better. They looked better. I refuse like what you're saying, the cheapening of people's like nostalgia. Now, I do believe that nostalgia, like we've talked about, first time we ever spoke was about nostalgia, and here we are again. And we even mentioned the negative effects of nostalgia, which it can be a tool of negativity. It can keep you locked in, and it can keep you looking backwards. And there's even, negative nostalgia too. There's things that keep you locked in nostalgia that are bad. So like Munchausen type shit. So, but at the same time, I will not be told that my sky wasn't prettier. I will not be told that the world did not smell better. I will not be told that I 100% knew summers used to smell delicious, and summer, like the falls were always beautiful. It was like picturesque. And I'm not, obviously this changes where with people lives, but I grew up in Portland, and that's Northwest really loves their like agriculture within the city limits type of vibe. And it's changing drastically. And, but at the time I was growing up, parks are, super heavily focused on in the city, within city limits and everything like that. And I think there's plenty of nefarious reasons for certain things of that nature too. But I won't be told that my childhood, not just my childhood, but, the 90s and early 2000s in general weren't there was a better atmosphere. And then of course the people as well played a big part of that, but I'm not even talking about that necessarily. But as far as the people having morals / I guess morals might be like pushing it, calling them morals, but like adherence to a system, whether that system like worked for everybody the majority of people maintained it so that it was at least, it worked for the majority of people. So the majority of people, their kids got along and their kids could grow up and have friends and not be divided by parents having different beliefs and different ideas and things of that nature. Nowadays, it's absolutely cooked. Absolutely cooked. Anecdotally, it's cooked. Many of my girlfriends have been, Romeo and Juliet type shit because my parents don't get along. It's just like, so what? What do you guys have to do with it? Yeah. Get out of it. But anyway, that stuff is rampant. So, and I say parents, but like I said, I'm talking about past the early 2000s. So the degradation, or at least the change, has already happened. And you have what are considered now boomers. They don't have a dog in the fight. They're not turning their sexes. They're not worried about what's going on in the bathrooms at school and things of that nature. So they're just like, yeah, sure, we'll do whatever. I already bought my house for 10K. It's now worth 3 million. So yeah, sure. Yeah. Whatever. That's fine. That's not fine. Oh, all right. They don't really have a dog in the fight, but if they do put their dog in to fight, so to speak, and let me preface by saying this. So like, in my neighborhood, my road, my little neighborhood road, it's like a lot of older people. Right. And so there's a group of like, dudes that are like boomers age. And like for like maybe like the last year, we played cards on like Wednesday nights. We just, and like most of us, like 4 out of 6 of us we're neighbors. We live on the same road right here. And we go play, but they're boomers. And so I listen to them and I hear about like what they do in their lives and their day and stuff. And so occasionally, like they locally, like the school board or local elections, like I've heard them recently, there was a vote, I guess. And so like the couple weeks before the vote and then after, like there was kind of some hubbub between them talking about this person on this issues, whatever. If they're putting the dog in the fight, it's because they're bored. And that's why they do it. It's not because they care about what the fuck happens. It's because they're bored. And one of their friends' grandkids had a bad experience of this. And so they latch on to like their friends' grandkids issue. And it's just because they're bored. Because I listen to them, dude. And like one of them, he gets drunk and goes and plays golf. and then he'll have drinking all day playing golf by the time we're playing poker that evening, Like, what do you do today? He's like, I was drinking, still got the same thermos. It was full of liquor. And he's like, I still got like half of it. He's been playing golf all day, whatever. The other guy, fishing, whatever, just been fishing today. Maybe just got drunk. The other guy, he went shooting at the range, and then now he's playing. They're all now playing poker. And dude, they don't do anything. All right, now I can't wait to be a boomer. So, like, I don't know if you're trying to make this bad or good.
Well, that's what kind of pisses me off is because we're not going to get that opportunity, man.
Yeah,
I am visually watching the last people that are going to get to enjoy a way of life that won't be a thing.
Now, I do caution you. Now, this is me. Because I did set it up as if I am someone who's highly against the latter generations. I'm actually not. I think there's so much to be garnered from them. And they are the gatekeepers of a different world that we will never see again. I'm not saying you aren't. I'm not saying you aren't.
I want to preface. I want to also make that. I'm glad you brought that. I finally got what you were saying. By the way, I mean, I'm hanging out with them. Like those are the only people I pretty much hang out with. And then dude, my mom's a boomer. I love her, dude. I love my mom. My aunt, she's cool, so like boomers, I don't hate on boomers. Like actually, pretty much the closest people I have to me as far as in a social sense are boomers. So it's not like
there is a top down boomers. Yes, there is a top down concerted effort to separate all. We talk about the indexed things, sex index. I say sex, whatever, male, female, the biology separated, the age separated. Everything they want a larger and larger separation between these two people, these two groups, so that we never empathize. We lose our sense of empathy. Now, we should not lose our sense of empathy for the older generations. What they went, we're not sitting here. We can't say that everything they went through was easy as a whole. For every boomer that bought their house at 5 G's and now is sitting on 3 million, there's a guy who, had to fight a war or, didn't get, so it's the same thing. Don't get caught up in the here and now and think that is the only thing. And my grandma was ahead of her time, and she had a lot of wisdom in her that I didn't get the time, unfortunately, enough to extract from her. But what I did get from her was profound, and she deserved a lot better than she got in the end. And all that being said, now I'm speaking from a place of sentimentality, and I think that's what you were mentioning with these boomers who are going and voting and getting involved with certain things because they're bored, but they're doing it only on a basis of sentimentality because it has to do with their family or whatever, that and the third. And I think that is true. But I just wanted to caution anybody to write any group off. That's the trap.
No. Absolutely. Division, because divide and conquer, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like a hate on all boomers. My point of that was to point out, like, being able to do whatever every day for the rest, whatever you want. It's shooting, playing golf, getting drunk, whatever, for the rest of your life, for at least a couple decades. I think most of them, they've been retired for at least probably 15 years. They worked hard, man. Like, I also take this into account too. I listened to them talk. I think almost all of them are ex-military. One used to be in the Navy. One was Marine, I think. All these things. And dude, I'm listening to the stuff that, like, chemicals and stuff that they use for, like, and agents and shit. The things that, like, people are like, dude, those things are, like, deadly. You have
they were
types
definitely test subjects.
You didn't even know. Like, and so, like, I think about that too, just like how, like, used up that generation got. Like, the military did some horrific things to the boomer generation as far as, like, chemical warfare they are all exposed to. Lots of, like, nasty stuff. And, like, so, like, I do think about, like, dude, like, half of them, one of them, dude, he's got so many screws up. He showed me his x-ray. He's got like 10 screws going up and 2 steel plates on his spine, going up his spine. He's like, he's had like a couple heart attacks, cancer spots all over him, cut off of him, dude. He was showing me pictures of him, chunks of cancer cut off here and here. I mean, this got to be from the fucking military. And he's also used to be a firefighter. And he was talking about these different chemicals and agents they use to snuff out fires and all the, I can't remember the specific chemical it was called, but I mean, yeah, that is known today to be super carcinogenic. And I mean, I'm seeing the evidence of it right here. The guy I'm sitting, playing a hand of poker with. It's like, oh my God, dude. Like, it's like torture stuff almost, really, then you think about it, like, in that way. And I don't think, some of them, I think I think a lot of the awakening happened. And I think as far as, if you want to say the truth realm, as far as waking up and trying to find, like, at least identifying the rig, seeing that where things are amiss, and then at least coming up with ideas of what could be solutions and what are, identifying certain things. That started with the boomers generation. I would say the generation before, like my grandparents' generation, or what I think they refer to as the last great generation, or it's something like that, like World Wars, what I'm talking about, like born in like the 30s, maybe 20s, that range. So, I think they were way more caught up and ate into all the propaganda. And you brought up like the hippie movement. That was a total agenda. That was CIA. That was intelligence operations happening there, psyops. But at the same time, it's kind of weird because it also did spark kind of some awakening seeds in people's minds as well. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yes. I mean, the suffragette movement,
I would say.
Yeah, the suffragette movement, the suffrage movement, what are they? What is even the term for that? But what is it?
You talking about suffrage?
Well, the women's suffrage, that was one of the movements. But the black movement.
Oh, civil rights.
Civil rights, yeah, the civil rights era. All that was co-opted as well. It's like you guys have no idea that these guys at the top are Mitzrayim Freemasons or Boule or Prince Hall, or all your major icons are affiliated with white-led Scottish Rite organizations. Like what these guys are doing all their things out of Catholic churches. But same with the it's almost like the modern day, the Black Lives Matter movement. It's just the same, they just reprise these roles for these people. And, obviously there's patsies and stuff. I understand that they're using, these people, the women that were the founders of Black Lives Matter, are multimillionaires and own like crazy properties and have done absolutely nothing for the urban areas that they rile up and get to, fulfill their desires and wants as the heads of these organizations. So that a lot of people just don't understand that it's like people who are willing to take action, good or bad, they're a step ahead of the people that are bystanders. And that step is a large step. They're a large step ahead of anybody that is just walking around, getting along to get along, going along to get along. And you can do a lot with that first step. You can get past a lot of people. And now what's in realizing that, it's one of those things where it's like you start to look around now. It can seem like a cop out, and maybe it is, but it seems that every avenue, since I like to put that into action, I feel like I would be taking advantage of people. To do that, the only way, like in order to make money, like to get into a better financial place so that I can start to like pour more resources into better live, like certainly a better life for my family priority. But then like right now, if I had another zero at the end of my column, this property would be top notch. I'm talking top notch. It's not because I'd be able to pay people to do it. It's because I would be able to buy the vehicles and the tools and everything I could need to do it. And I would do it. And I would teach my son how to do it. And my daughter how to do it. And I would make this place amazing. But, in order to do that, who do I got to sell out to? Who do I have to, sell down the river to in order to do that? And in my opinion, when I look at those avenues, it's like, oh, you know what? Go work in North Dakota for 2 years doing the oil pipeline. It's just like, oh yeah, so I can etch my name on that pipeline. So I can I forever helped build that corporation's major agenda that is going to ruin the next generations. And it is that simple. If everybody will see it as like, oh, they're going to get it done regardless. It's just like, that may be, but it doesn't need to be you. And if enough people had that, it doesn't need to be me mentality rather than it's going to be somebody else anyway. Those are two opposing mentalities. One, at the very least, keeps you out of, within that, whatever the word is, being a part of that agenda. The other one is just saying, oh, who cares if I'm a part of the agenda or not? At the end of the day, it's not like I'm with their agenda, but, I need to eat, I need to do this and that. At least, one helps the agenda. One is neutral. At the very least, it's neutral. At least it's not actively helping the agenda, whether or not you get anything out of it or not. And that's where I struggle. It's just like, I am capable of going and doing things, but I'd rather stay in a lower lane that doesn't, generally take advantage of people. And I'm talking about even in the lane I'm in, I see the ways that it's a negative to the general populace. I work at a restaurant, a barbecue restaurant at that. You know how many, I see dead men walking in and out all the time. Trust me. And I see their kids too. That's one of the big, and you can call it a sin or whatever you want. I take those, that latches on to me. That's not something I'm not of the latter people I'm talking about. I don't just sit there and say, oh, somebody's got to make barbecue. I wish there could be another way at this current time. And there you go. That right there, then and there, I'm able to empathize with who we call boomers in the later generations. I'm sure a lot of those people wish for a better way, but there's just really no feasible without, let's move everybody into the woods. And it's like, what then? Is that really, what's that really doing? There's always going to be like pros and cons to everything. And I'm not sitting here trying to sell out everybody who's working on major projects. I mean, what's so funny is there's so many defenders of the data centers that are going up and saying, how much jobs it's bringing and how much money they're influxing into the community. And like how much what again they're influxing into the community? Oh, that thing that doesn't exist that they use to keep you fucking idiots doing what they want. They can throw as much of that stuff around as they want. It doesn't exist to them. It's not the same thing it is to them. They don't wake up and go, oh, where's my wallet? They don't leave the house. Oh shit, where's my wallet? That's not what they're thinking about. It's not even a thing. They laugh if somebody did that in front of them. What's the problem? My wallet, I can't remember. So what? Oh yeah, you use that shit, huh? That's my bad. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's just so fucking obvious. And here's where those two thoughts intersect. Just like half a year ago, we do catering, and we had a catering job in Oregon, and we're out of Oregon, so it makes sense. But it was past. Either way, whatever. It's in this beautiful region of where I'm talking like that shit needs to be studied. This place in Oregon, I care about like the geology and like a lot of this. And I say geology, that doesn't mean I like follow the geologists and what they're saying the geology is, but I have my own opinions on what it is based on other things. But it's really crazy out there. It's beautiful and crazy. I'm talking, you see some places like rolling hills. These are like sharp hills, and like it's really cool out there. But it was as far as we knew, it was like this electric company that we were doing this catering job for. And so we pull up to the gate and there's Google signs everywhere. And a lot of people don't know this, but maybe a lot of people don't know this, but all the data centers, they build themselves, or they co-opt a grid that already exists, and they tap into it, or they build one. And they are a power company. They have every ability to secure large amounts of power. It's just that they don't give it out. And well, here's the thing. The reason they're able to get these major contracts is because they can give it out. Like their claim is that they're going to make so much power that they're going to be like in excess, and they're going to give that power to the the surrounding power companies and to the community basically, and to the surrounding towns and cities. And so these are power. I mean, this campus was massive, and there was no signage that it was a Google campus or anything. It had nothing to do with Google, but we were there. It was a like it was post groundbreaking, but it was like a ribbon cutting. They weren't even close to finishing, but it was like I'm sure they're going to do many more celebrations until the ribbon cutting ceremony for this data center, but it was a data center. And I'm talking, I got to see the skeleton of it. I served in the skeleton of it. They had us serve in this massive empty warehouse with just steel everywhere. And on the outside facility, it was just caution, caustic chemicals, everywhere. I'm talking vats the size of people's houses. I'm not joking. Huge vats saying caustic chemicals the size of people's houses, multiple of them. And this place was just so dystopian, and they sit it in the most beautiful region I've ever seen. And it's just like, so it's like, boom, they gave us a shirt at the end of it though. We got a shirt. They were happy to give out shirts, and it was just, it's just wild, but yeah,
that's like a paranoia I kind of hold is data center, dude. Just because, like, I mean, dude, I do not want one of those things anywhere around me, near me, and they pop up, especially the state I'm in. I mean, I'm in a bad state for it, dude. So it's like, we're going to be number 3 in the country in a couple of years of the most, And so I don't like that, you know, I don't at all. Like my sister and my brother-in-law, they just got a house in a neighborhood, and it's just like I'd be freaking out. Getting into a new house in the state of Georgia where they're just putting, you know, hundreds of data centers up. Like, what? What if it happens right next to you, a mile away from you, 10 miles away from you, even? You know what I mean?
And this is the other thing about it is too. It's just the latest in the trend of, you know, just do it, and we'll figure out the negatives 30, 40 years from now or more. And you know, there's a lot of the warning. You know, a lot of these groups are giving you fighting against it with all these warning signs about how they affect the water, how they affect all the air quality, all these certain things. And even what was that?
The noise pollution. They're just loud. You know, people.
Well, noise. What is noise? Frequency, vibration. So yeah, absolutely, that is a big deal. That is, you know, I guess the overarching idea of like the whole 5G negative, you know, 5G, which who's to say is any worse than the 4G thing? It's the same kind of concept, but like, yeah, absolutely, changing people's guys. It is textbook. They know that frequencies can change. Look at babies. It's a known 100% thing. What do you think? Like noise machines and certain things. It's not just so you can open the door and close it without them hearing. It's more. I mean, that might be why people use it now. But like, keep in mind, in like feudal times in Asian countries, they have specific little gong type things to calm babies, and it's like in Eastern practices and other places, there are people used to care about that. It used to be a known thing that like calming a baby, because babies can go crazy, they can go too far, they can work themselves up so much that they can't stop, and they're at risk. You can't sit there and cry for 2 hours. That's not okay. They need to chill. They need to breathe normally. They need to regulate their system. They're having a tough time. But yeah, so that it was a thing people knew they had to work against and try to help. And one of the best and most holistic ways to do it was through frequency and sound. And so those same good things that you can hear, I mean, I shouldn't say those are minuscule compared to the amount of negative ways they use sound and frequency against us. So I say sound, but I think, you know, frequency is a better just word, because not everything carries a sound of, right. But
we can hear
one that we can hear, yeah,
out of our hearing range, but it's still waves, you know. You're talking about the just do it, like that phrase. And earlier you're making that kind of similar point, and it made me think of like, you know, well, first of all, just do it, that being Nike's brand slogan, you know, and really the deeper element of that is just getting people to go along with it, you know. And that also, how many shows and movies have you seen it in where one of the characters says in it, like literally the exact line is, well, if you can't beat them, join them. You know, it's like, no, that's repulsive. No, absolutely not. That's the mindset. That's why we heard that so much growing up. And
that's why people shouldn't function in fear. Like, and when you have so many people, that's why these agendas work, is because it puts you in a state of fear, and these psychologists, they know how most people will react out of that state. And they'll just prey upon those ideas. Like, everybody has a different life, but there's so many people that have similar enough lives that you can get a 95%, you know, rate of getting what people to act the way you want. If you know they're all mostly in a specific situation, all in a fear state, you can, affect that. It's just like, why did so many people run out and trample everybody to buy toilet paper for the flu? Like, who goes through that much toilet paper during the flu? It's not E. coli. It's not. What is toilet paper going to do for you? What, are you going to eat it? I don't understand. Like, what are you guys doing?
There was one.
Is it going to become currency?
Yeah, I can't remember when the hantavirus thing was just happening. I remember they all like, there was some mainstream media that tried to start it with something. I can't remember exactly what the product was, and it didn't do anything, obviously, because whatever that was, I don't even know what that was. But It was another thing. People were freaking out and they were buying. I can't remember what product it was. It might have been batteries or something. I don't know, something. But it's just that it just doesn't make sense. Like the hoarding thing, the paranoid and hoarding things. It's an interesting.
They know how to
phenomenon, you know.
Yeah, they know how to access that in us. And what, as far as I can place it, it's because it's like a innate function of being a human. And, I'm not going to go back to caveman times. I never will. I don't believe that existed. But let's just say, even like in my personal view, post reset, where you have, people that are coming out, not understanding, not knowing what is in the world at this time, finding things out. And if we do a truth and movie type segment, we're going to be able to highlight that. That is highlighted in a lot of movies, especially the dystopian movies, or like there's a lot of movies about resets too. But anyway, like Planet of the Apes. Anyway, fuck, I don't remember what I was about to say.
Well, like you're talking about the steampunk, basically a steampunk area. The people who are coming out and they can't remember, they're trying to figure out what their reality is at the moment. After post reset, you're talking about the people post reset coming out that can't remember what things were like, and they're having to figure out what the world is.
Yeah, but what was I saying that having to do with? I don't remember my original thought. Anyway, that's it. Forgetting that is a good segue into, I guess. Did you hear about the whole Lindsey Graham thing?
Mm-hmm.
He's
I woke up to that.
Southerner.
One of the first things I saw this morning was Lindsey Graham dead at 71, and so I threw it in the Gematinator. You already know.
What do you know about that? You it couldn't be though, because that would just be crazy. So don't even worry about it. There's no way, guys. Let's do it live. There's no way. Oh no!
Shit! Again, it happened again, man.
But absolutely dies at 71. 71 Gematria. Now, what's even more interesting too, is take his first name, Lindsey. It's got interesting numbers. He's right off the bat. You see that 88. Now, all the reports are saying that like Trump just talked to him yesterday. Of course, he just came back from Kiev, Ukraine, with Zelensky. So that's been an ongoing saga, like a triangle, which, by the way, is like, who the hell even remembered their war or whatever's going on, whatever it is. Like, is Venezuela still doing anything? What's going on anywhere, really? Is North Korea still like killing South Koreans? What's going on? I forget. But interesting gematria there. But also look at the 34, 38. You look at a state word like murder. It obviously has that 34, 38 as well. What's even more interesting is the murder has that 7-9. Well, Lindsey Graham's birthday is July 9th, like 7-9. He dies 2 days after his birthday. Another interesting thing they like to do. Like your birth celebration being your death celebration type of thing. Mm-hmm. And so that's interesting, but what else was it? You look at words like Lindsey, murder, and this is where it kind of like I went down the rabbit hole. I was watching Zach's short video he made on it, really good video. Just when he had just heard about it, did a quick decode of it, and he mentioned poison because of how he died. And at this time, the cause of death wasn't out. And now it's like, what is the cause of death? Poison? No, well, not said that it was, but just follow me. So you look at a word like poison, and Trump talks about being the snake, and of course that's venom, but poison being similar. But anyway, the word poison obviously has all those numbers, very similar to murder and Lindsey, his name. So let's see. Another thing that's interesting is we'll tie it to our favorite religious organization, the Jesuits. Who, if you Google, they've never poisoned anyone in their lives. They've never done anything. They've never even been accused of it. So good luck Googling it. You really have to have more. You have to have the the anecdotes on tap. You have to have, you know, what certain historical figures said about the Jesuits and what they've been on trial for, things that you have to have those on tap, because just Googling it, it's going to be like, oh, no. They love everyone. They're just doing what they need to do. Whatever. It's really hard to come up with any linking to them and poisoning. And also, they'll conflate it with like Soviets and the Nazis, how they used cyanide tablets for their spies. They would use cyanide tablets to kill themselves if they ever got caught, type of thing. And then they were heavy in the poisoning and like poisoning political opposition and things of that nature. But who did they model their groups after? Look into that, guys. Look into who they modeled their regimes after, and then you'll get a clearer picture. But even a word like arsenic poisoning has that 88. Now, you're like, where are you coming up with this? Well, what's so funny about this now, it just gets better and better. Let's quickly head to Google. I already had these fired up. But wait, hold on. So it says he died of I know it's dissection, but what was the
like aortic dissection?
Aortic dissection, exactly. Thank you.
It was a different one. You don't see this one every day. At least I haven't.
So now let's just grammar. Aorta being like the main blood pumper out of the heart, and dissection. Now the word dissection means to cut in half. Dissect means to cut in half. So this is not what this is. This is a, as you can see here with this little picture, it highlights, that it's a tear. It's a tear on one side of the wall of a vessel, or in this case, the aorta. It's just a tear. It's not like it's cut in half, like severed in half. But they do use a word that implies cut in half. But like the aorta, it just almost sounds like you're like they slit his throat. It sounds like they slit his throat, because like that would also be anyway. But just like it sounds like a crazy word. But you look it up, and you look at what. Let's see. Okay, let's bring it down a little bit. Emergency that happens when a tear forms in the wall of the aorta. The most common symptom is a sudden, severe, and sharp pain in the chest or upper back, like ripping or tearing. Oh no, hold on. Not symptoms, causes. It mentions the blood pressure of blood pumped by the heart there. Chronic high blood pressure, number one cause of this particular thing. Chronic high blood pressure. Now it's just like, okay, it was up there in age. High blood pressure is a problem, especially in America. Okay. How did I do this? Oh, okay. Here, I already had it. What poison causes high blood pressure? Hypertension is the other word for high blood pressure. Hallmark, or a cause and effect type of thing. Hallmark finding in poisonings that trigger the sympathetic nervous system or stimulate heart and blood vessels, blah, blah, blah. It is highly characteristic of toxic from sympathetic, blah, 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 blah. Is this one? It might be because I Googled it specifically. So it says stimulants here, like caffeine, blah, 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 ephedrine. That's interesting. Ephedrine is interesting. That's a common ingredient in methamphetamines and amphetamines to begin with. But, it says it right here. Here we go. Cocaine and amphetamines. Now it's like, these are U.S. senators. I think we all know that there's closed doors involved with these politicians and their little parties and their robes and their little suits. And their Nancy Pelosi sprawled out on the Senate floor. I don't want your guys, chill. Don't let your mind wander too far. I already took it far enough. All right.
Wolf of Wall Street wasn't completely fictional. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. Truth in Movies coming up. So you see that cocaine there. Now, that's interesting. Does cocaine contain cyanide? Pure cocaine does not contain cyanide. It is a plant-based alkaloid extracted from the coca leaf. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, for the most elite and rich, and for the those that are getting pure product, sure. However, Street cocaine is frequently diluted or cut with other chemical substances to increase profit. While not a standard ingredient, some batches of street drugs, blah, blah, blah. The number one is cyanide. They say it's rare, but it is often associated with not overdoses, but like a first time, or like it has nothing, not an overdose as in you did too much, but just your batch was messed with. People end up in the hospital for cyanide poisoning through not cocaine, but the street name crack. This dude was smoking crack. Lindsey was on the pipe, yo. That's what I'm trying to get to. And now that I wouldn't be surprised if something came out and talked about him doing drugs. I would not be surprised if that comes out, especially with how close he was to the church. And what was he, like a pastor at some point or something like that? He was like involved with the 700 Club. Or
super Baptist tie and was super like religious, and he used that also to kind of to explain his support of Israel and stuff as well. He always tried to tie that into the Bible, and it says, all that, whatever, man. But dude, I think I'm with you. This is making sense, man.
But also think of a lot of the sudden illnesses that happen and the very next day. That's been very common lately. People are reported with a sudden illness and the next day they're dead, or the day after they're dead. And I'm not saying this can't happen. Obviously, these things can really happen, sure. But I'm saying they're like autopiloting to like a thing that anecdotally people can say, oh yeah, that can happen. And it just so happens to frequently happen with politicians and actors and all these people. I think that's where we're having a possible disconnect on this being on the up and up. And what's so funny is crack and cocaine, obviously, but crack is one of those things where a lot of people don't realize not everybody does crack as if it's the air they breathe. Some people smoke crack every once in a while and can smoke crack every once in a while, and they're not losing their teeth. They're not picking scabs. They're addicted to crack, but they're not crackheads. They're not like the people you see on the street, i.e. politicians and all the, what about the famous politician, that mayor guy who was like famously caught doing crack?
You're talking about the DC mayor?
Was it DC?
I think it was
Rob
DC.
Ford. Yeah. Rob Ford.
I forgot about this dude. Yeah.
He just straight up, no one even asked him about it. He just straight up said, yeah, I used to do crack.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the gematria on Ford's name, man?
Rob Ford. I'm guessing Robert, but
I forgot all about Rob Ford. Rob Ford
He's got the New York numbers. Interesting. Yeah. Where was he the mayor?
Well, and then
Canadian.
like Hunter Biden, same thing. He's really 3/22 death day. I got you.
Oh yeah, interesting.
The year Trump
was Mount Sinai. Interesting. That's what an interesting hospital.
Mount Sacrifice, more like it. Does that say Toronto?
Yeah, it says Toronto.
Okay.
I guess there was such an American story. I didn't know he was only a Canadian politician. Let's see.
Well, and then look. Oh, never mind. It was the 528. I was wrong.
Well, May 28th. That sounds familiar.
Or the 285. Didn't you say Lindsey Graham's name said the 285 or something? You had up there had the 258.
Oh, did
I think it was actually.
240. I know. I haven't looked up at like crack and stuff. 238. Let's see. Either way, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, I guess he was only in. It's so funny because this was definitely a American story, but I guess he was a Canadian politician.
Look, they say he's 46 years old. Like, was it Catholic?
Well, doesn't Canada have like the 39 or something?
And well, he died.
Yeah, Canada has the 39 like Rob Ford. Okay, so
yeah.
Let's see. What was his full name? Go ahead. What were you saying? Sorry.
Rob Ford died at 46, like Catholic equals 46. And even though Lindsey Graham, I don't think really represented the Catholic Church, he died at 71. Catholic equals 71.
Mm-hmm. And his full name equals 64. Like the reverse thing. Oops.
Yeah, what a weird thing. Like I
Robert
don't I've heard of a aortic dissection and before this, you know.
Yeah, that who knows? Maybe they need this to be mainstream as well. People's conscious. Well, just the name Robert itself does have that 39 as well, just like his stage name in Canada. And interesting. But yeah, I think it's more prevalent than people give it credit for. And yeah, you'd be surprised. But, you know, it's one of those things, too, where it's like when the Epstein file is finally come out, it'll be, you know, prevalent in there, too, because that's, you know, one of the tactics. It's a military tactic to compromise your political opponents or whatever. And I'm not trying to give credence to the military and it being all real and stuff. I'm saying this could be very made for TV movie type of narrative that they give us. I'm just saying that is the narrative, is that military will use compromising things such as drugs like cocaine and crack and things of that nature, because the separation is non-existent. You can smoke crack and be completely fine. You don't have, if you're addicted to crack, you're going to end up on the street, sure. But if you just smoke crack as recreationally, it's not like you become a zombie like the people you see doing what's the newfangled one? I can't even remember what the hell that shit's called.
Dude, I've known a couple people who were crack addicts like before I was friends with them, and how I think the two people I know that used to do crack explained to me, it blows my mind too, but how they both explained it to me. They were hardworking, dependable people Monday through Friday. Dude, they went to work every day. They were on time. They worked long hours. They were there and they were functional, and they didn't do the crack during the middle of the week. Monday through Friday, they went to their job religiously, got that check, and then they would cash that check on Friday, and they would spend all of it by Sunday, and it was bad. So don't do it.
Oh yeah.
But like you're saying, and that's also not a good thing to do. But they were super functional Monday through Friday. I just think that's super weird. And at least from what you see with I don't know, it seemed unique to that specific drug, the explanation, and how I've heard other people doing other substances or whatever. It was something about the crack addict experience, at least what they've explained, was like super functional Monday through Friday. Weekends, they were like basically going demonic on it, you know.
Well, I just got a little curious to see if there's been anything about him. Now, he was, I guess, fundamental in legislation regarding cocaine and crack and the delineation between the two, which is funny that I'm just talking about that without even knowing this. But then also that he spoke on Trump's tweets being crack cocaine for the guy. So that's interesting. And also, like,
go ahead.
Open your mind. Are what are the odds that the person passing legislation down on a thing isn't the arbiter of it behind the scenes and like gatekeeping it, you know, and doing all the things that he's telling you not to do? That seems like a pretty common trait with these politicians. So it's almost like an indictment. The fact that he was working on crack, that almost says that's almost proof positive he was doing it.
Well, you said he just got back from Kyiv, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Key.
Was he meeting with Zelensky? Is that who?
Absolutely.
So I'm pretty sure there is allegations that Zelensky likes cocaine.
Well, he was an actor. I'm sure he did. He was a comedian actor. I'm sure he did plenty of
he's kind of in the rumor mill for doing cocaine. And then, so to your point, that only bolsters at this point that you're making about.
Yeah, you don't think they're offering him like a fancy little bump on like a little Petrushka doll? Like every Petrushka doll comes out with a bump of cocaine.
They probably do it that way, and then they probably also smoke it the crack way too, because that's the most powerful way to ingest that drug. And so, if you were to think about like a cyanide poisoning through crack cocaine, think about it this way. Like you said, is the Russia-Ukraine thing even still going on? North Korea, hello, whatever. Because we're all busy with Iran, Israel, United States stuff, right? And so that's still going on. So they have to stir that pot and get it back going. So now there's going to be all these conspiracies thinking that a Russian or a Ukrainian, someone basically poisoned Lindsey Graham. You see what I'm saying? To me, it seems like the fact that he suspiciously just was over in Russia-Ukraine area and then dies like right when he gets back, that there's it's to cause conspiratorial thought about who, if he got poisoned and who would have done that. And I think it is to spark up tensions with Russia again, like we had tensions with Russia back, a few years back. So it's ingredients to me, what it seems like it's just ingredients for like World War III type stuff. Because you get World War III, everybody's got to be fighting. And so the big thing going on right now is the Iran stuff and Israel and United States. So yeah, we got to spark back up the Ukraine-Russia element to this. And then, like you said, North Korea, we're going to have North Korea come in and some sort of thing where we're going to get them involved too. But to me, it looks like they're putting the pieces and the ingredients in the pot to stir for like World War III type of tensions. And more importantly for them, or for all of us, is World War III type tensions happen, then there's going to be like martial law type control happening in certain ways and forms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
I feel like tightening the noose, the control, especially with the AI now, and they're going to be in all the data centers. They have the ability to really to shrink our world down, and have so much more control on us in lots of different ways that we can't even comprehend right now. And their excuses for these things to make these measures are always war type things. You know what I mean? A terrorist attack causing war. Oh, we got to put cameras everywhere. We got this AI now. We're going to basically put sensors up your ass, and you're not going to be able to do anything without us knowing. It's because the whole world's at war right now. You know what I mean?
And I could easily see these data centers just being focal points for legislation in the future that further tighten the noose, as you put it, on businesses in the area. And the way, it's one thing. It's kind of like phasing out the old world through like creating a mechanism that is meant to fail. And I'm not saying the data centers will fail, but I'm saying the legislation will come out being super harsh on the data centers with these clandestine backers that money is no object to them. And those same laws will be passed down to the other businesses in those areas, and they will feel the heat, and they'll be forced out of business. They'll be forced to capitulate or to join or to be, absorbed into a municipality that otherwise that further pushes us into that one world that they want, that one organized system, really. And so a lot of times they give you these things like, what's a good example of it? They'll give you some form of technology or some form of like, I guess Bitcoin's kind of similar in that way, but they'll give you some sort of unbridled technology, or in this case, this is technology. Like it is main purpose, as far as we're told, which that's, I don't think that's the end all be all, but it has to do with this AI, which, by the way, it's just like what I was seeing, these vats of chemicals. I'm like, Okay, we're literally making Terminators.
Yeah,
He's gonna fall into that shit, and he'll be back. He's gonna be back.
How long ago was it that you had that job that you went
about
and did that
6 months ago or so, or maybe it was even last year. Time has been going so far. I checked a decon. My sister was over, and she's the one that really cares about the Buffy. Or not really cares, but she was super into Buffy. And you had that Giles actor's death, and we talked about it. But I was so taken aback by how long ago the Michelle Trachtenberg thing. It was already over a year at that point. I was like, what? I swear I just covered that, but I had to go back and look and find it. And like, damn, that was already over a year. So it's like, maybe it was around a year that we did that, because I think it was hot out. Maybe it wasn't. All I know is I have this hat, this brown pearl lumber hat. I used to have a blue one, and it flew off when I stuck my hat out the window, and it fucking flew off. So I'm pissed I lost that hat.
How big was that building? Like, do you think?
It was multiple buildings. It was a campus. And so they had an electric substation, and that was at the front of the campus. You've done this long road, and then there's no markings for Google until you get to like this gated area. And then it's like Google this, Google that, Google. And it's not like Google as in like you're coming in here to work data. Like they're not hiring people to do like data there. Like the Google campus that Zach visited in like California and stuff like that. That's not what this is. This is going to be a data, like a processing plant. This is, I mean, as far as I know, at least what I saw, it was not for people to work in that capacity. This is going to be much more, like, dude, it's crazy. I should have taken pictures, dude. I'm talking about these vats were so massive. Like, and I'm like, what are you even filling it with? What is it? How much? Why do you need this much of it? Like,
super curious, dude. It's really weird. That's interesting.
I wonder if I can get a top down of it. That's like, I'll work on that. I'll try to remember it. But us talking about the drug thing, it almost made me remember, or the implications of like drugs and everything. That the Matthew Perry thing was another thing they brought back up fairly recently about the sentencing for the counselor, whoever who gave him the ketamine or whatever it was that ended up killing him. It just kind of brought up the fact that reminded me that this whole first of all, it's weird anyway that you can like get certain stage drugs from like counselors. They just have like access to like street drugs, which I guess makes enough sense, but it's just this weird other thing. It's just like, unless you're part of that world, you'd never understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could, there is, you're absolutely right. There is a lot of ties to Zelensky and coke and crack. And of course they all say, oh, that's speculation, this and that. It's like, okay, homie was like dancing naked on TV. It's like, don't tell me that homie was not partaking. Like he's been a puppet from the beginning. There's no doubt in my mind that these people are all implicated, and I think that's what makes them so, at the end of the day, more tight knit than we can be. Is they're all part of it. They all know that anybody, like they can all turn on it, like they all got shit on everybody, and everybody's got shit on them. So that keeps them in line. I think that's a major function of it.
If you don't have something against you where you're compromised, you don't get to even play, man.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't
you have to go in the back. You have to go in that back room at the party, or else you're not a real part of the party. You're leaving that night and you're having a normal night. You're not entering into that next level. It's like, bro, that is like, I don't care. You can add demons and vampires and whatever you want to any movie that does that shit. The scariest part to me is just the concept of like being invited into a back room and like, no. Don't ever be there. Don't ever be in those places, people. Because you hear stories. I do believe that is a recruiting tactic for people that aren't initiated into it. This is for people that are invitation only. This is how they get people that are born to regular people that had no intentions on their child being sacrificed to the cult, but they make up their way through their talent, and then they're offered into that room. And once they see it, it's all about what they do after that. Once they see it, are you going to? I'm not even saying you have to go and do it. And I'm hesitating to say what it is. Don't just mail it in like Nike. All right. Don't have that mentality. Definitely think about it. Don't just do it. But I'm saying, like, I'm sure
do more of like a Forrest Gump thing and just run. Just start running.
Well, I started running and I just never stopped. So yeah, I think it's all about how you react to it, and you know, I think that's the implied blackballing in the industry. And I'm sitting here to say I'm not trying to give credence to the Dave Chappelles and to the Corey Feldmans and all these people who I think are controlled opposition that give you that the only time you'll ever have anecdotal evidence of it is through someone in that realm, someone on that stage who's benefited from that stage and who has already reaped the rewards and most likely volunteered into that back room. So this is not, you know, in my opinion, something they slipped into it. Oopsie, I didn't know it would be like this. And then they got coerced, or no, they knew what was going on. There's no way there's not. I think that's a key facet of these larger organizations. And I'm talking religious orders down through even the 3-letter organizations, all these things. They use this tactic where they let you know. Masonic organizations, they let you know when you're about to reach that next thing. They don't want to just pull in a narc. They're not trying to have a problem. They're going to ease you into it. Are you gonna, you know, watch the compromising thing, somebody else doing a compromising thing, and hold your tongue, or like understand that there's a pecking order? Are you going to fall in line in that pecking order, or are you going to be a problem before you ever get invited to that back room? So to say you didn't know what was going on in that party is bullshit. And that's the kind of podcast shit that Cat Williams goes on and, I left that party. I knew that. Yeah, but you went to that party. You knew what was going to be at that party and you went. Why? Is the alcohol better there? Fuck you, dude. And these people just latch onto it and buy all these fucking stories when the mechanism's always been the same. And I think it is a real mechanism that people will get sucked into it through their circumstances and through psychological coercion to, you know, they make you feel small and then they give you the opportunity to finally be big, and people jump at that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Dude, the mind control and like it's I mean, forms of MK Ultra all through all these steps and all these levels.
Talking about cocaine and stuff too. That's hilarious because that was one of the major uses in MK Ultra.
And the layers of it, because like, you know, it's having someone to be open-minded enough to hear something fringe or that goes against their beliefs or the mainstream, and to even entertain something, that's an obstacle all in itself. And that's through propagandas and stigma and shaming on certain topics, or someone that even would think a certain way, all that stuff. But then even once you get into that, I mean, what you're just talking about, controlled op, I think a lot of the people who are out, like, that are open-minded enough, that are seeking truth, and you know, you have your different little watering holes that you try to go to for truth and resources here or there. I think it really, really surprised people how much control the op is all around, and who's compromised. Like, I think it's hard for people to wrap their head around how many people are compromised as far as where you think you're getting truth. You know what I mean? Exactly.
And that's one of those. I think it's one of the, what's the word for it? I guess a litmus test. It's like how often. It's almost like the same thing as like people getting all their information from the headlines of a story and not even ever reading the story. There's so many people like that they're not even going to question the Cat Williams or anything. Like, they're going to take any nugget. Like, they're in their minds, it's just like, what would this person have to gain by telling me? They must be telling me the truth. It's just like that. They're counting on people having that attitude. That is what allows them to stay where they're at, and to string you guys along. It's have some personal discernment, have some personal ideas, have something that, separate from what is being told to you. Yeah, you can listen to what's being told to you, but you don't have to take that as truth all the time. That's not how you should be garnering truth and knowledge. You should be learning and figuring these things out yourself and understanding it yourself, coming to a level of understanding it through your own wherewithal, not just being told it all the time. And I mean, it's so weird how we regress, because as a parent, that is the number one goal, is to try my best to not just do things for them, so that they can see the process of having to do it themselves, having to learn something themselves, having to teach themselves something. If you don't do that, welcome to 2026. That you see why we are where we are now. It's because these kids have they are completely dependent. They have no independence. They have no want or necessity to look for themselves and do for themselves. And it is going to be a massive burden. It's the pendulum swing. It's the opposite of what boomers had. They from a young age, they had to do for themselves, and then they got for themselves, and they have no desire to pull the next generations up that are just walking around reaping the benefits of the world that those people built. They see the people nowadays just tearing it down and just sitting on the couch and just hanging back and not helping build a damn thing or helping do a damn thing. And they're disconnected from them the same way they're disconnected from the boomers, thinking that they're just sitting back and letting the world burn themselves. It's a two-pronged attack. But when in reality, we should all realize that these genealogical delineations they give us, that's another tactic to divide. Look, that's the only thing it's ever done. No one's ever said a boomer in reference to a boomer, the guy that's just right after the gen blah, blah, blah. It's always boomer. It's a negative connotation. Gen Z, Gen X. It's never to be like, wow, Gen X really hooked it up for us. Let's be more like this generation. It's always let's be less like this generation. Every generation says that.
10 years ago, 10 years ago, it was millennials. Oh, millennials.
Oh, yeah. Motherfuckers.
My birth year, I think, falls into the millennials. So just the boomers are getting their wave. Us millennials, we took our wave 10 years ago, where everyone was trashing on the millennials. That was a big thing. That was a trend. You can't pretend like trash on a millennial wasn't a thing. That totally was.
Yeah, I'm a millennial too. I'm at the very beginning of it, 1990. Yeah. It's kind of weird how they do it too.
What's 87?
Oh no! Wait, no! I'm a Gen Xer. That's what I am.
All
right. Well, what year? Sorry.
87.
Oh, you're a Gen Xer too.
Yeah, millennials suck. I'm just kidding.
That's what it says right here. Whines about millennials. That's the little chart I'm looking at.
See, I had to fall into the stereotype. I had to play along,
Exactly.
Yeah, no, but you're making a good point. It's all division. And really, if you want to see, kind of like we're talking about standards and as far as to kind of have a functioning society being attacked, it doesn't discriminate. It's not a specific generation. It's not the boomers. It's not the Gen Zs. It's not the zillennials, the millennials, or the Xers. It doesn't. What it is in my opinion, obviously this is my opinion. It's us societal wide, no matter the demographic, freely, voluntarily giving up liberties of life or freedoms or ways of life for convenience and tech. And it's completely changing what it's like to live a day as a human being. In my opinion, it's completely different than 20 years ago.
exist as a human in today's society. I don't think people really kind of grasp how different it is. You know what I mean? We don't think about it, at least. I think if you sit down and think about it, but we're just too busy that people don't sit down and think about what it was like 15 years ago, what it was like 20 years ago. It's so much different now. It's weird.
Oh, so this chart has millennials. Okay. So I guess maybe I misread the last chart, but I guess we're millennials. So we're talking shit about our own people, our own dudes.
Hey, millennials, the best ever bred, in my
opinion.
I
mean, that's what I always said.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at Gen Z. We don't even get me started. But
these are all labels for division, is what
exactly. I mean, they even color code them. It's just like crazy. You'll have 6 different people, all from one each from this generation, explain why the color of this chart is like, oh yeah, Gen Z would be yellow because you know what I'm saying. Even that is like
right
ingrained in them. But yeah, where do you guys stand? What fucking box do you guys tick? Let us know so I can roast you in the comment section below for why you're not as good as a millennial, which I definitely like. The wide range of millennials, that's what sucks. If I'm being lumped in to people who care about this kind of thing, I don't care about it. But like to think that like someone could like negatively call me a millennial just because of this, it's like, what the fuck? I'm not a barista. I'm not one of them. I never dyed my hair blue too.
Yeah, I think blending. I think taking traits from all of these different generations would be a good idea. Having a good balance between what makes a Gen Zer great to what the boomers got going on that are great as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unfortunately, it just seems that every generation is pushed towards what's the word? Like the crescendo. They're pushed towards like the louder ideal set. So it's like they all have a marker of that generation that is frowned upon. And rather than being centered, and rather than like you said, combining things that happened to baby boomers and taking that into the next generation to build, they just they'll go off one side of the deep end and stay there. Just much like the baby boomers, they're credited with blah blah blah, A, B, and C, and that's what they're known for. Rather than then Gen X should be, rather than Gen X being taking what the baby boomers did and looking at their mistakes and their wins and building upon them, they blame the baby boomers for the losses that they take, and that's what every generation does. That's what every single generation does. And that's if you want to look at like the greater cause of it is the destruction of tradition and the destruction of history. That's one way to destroy history, is to nobody even keeps genealogical books themselves anymore. That used to be a common household we talked about this, I believe. It used to be a common household practice, and now no one even cares. And now the only way you can find out is by jizzing in a cup or something like that and sending it off to 23andMe. So the government has your DNA, so they can like clone a terrorist with your skin complexion or something. So
yeah, you didn't know, but you're about to be wanted by the feds for shooting up a mosque, dude.
Yeah, they got your DNA all over the scene. How do you explain that?
You didn't know you were going to do that next week? Oh yeah, you might want to look into that. No, if
I want to report your ass.
My only My only resentment to the baby boomers is that I feel it's just kind of like whenever you see like a legend or a hero of yours, be humbled in a way, or give in a way, because I used to think it was super cool. Certain parents of my friends from like growing up as elementary school, my ex-girlfriend, her parents, her dad, certain people and they were of boomer age. There were boomers that put their foot down, for some of them for like well into the technology of cell phones, and still would not get a cell phone. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like slowly but surely,
like those boomers that I know, that I used to think that was cool. I would remember this about that person. Oh, whenever I thought about them, they didn't have a cell phone. That's so cool. I used to think that was so cool. Well into cell phones, that Blah's ma didn't have a cell phone, or her dad still doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't want it, but now they all have smartphones. You know what I mean?
Guys, look into the
It took like 15 years, but they finally
look into the psychological operation called infomercials.
Okay.
It'll blow your mind what they did to that generation to force them into capitulation to get on board with technology. It happened to my grandma too, and I didn't know what it was at the time. But everybody, I think, knows somebody whose older relatives have boxes upon boxes of unopened things from as seen on TV type of infomercials. I think that's a very common thing. And that is the FOMO effect. That is, it's made to be a stupid thing, but it's a 100% real thing. Everybody knows it is. Everybody feels it when it happens to them. The fear of missing out, I should say, so people don't get locked. I hate the term. I hate it. Just the fact that I said it just now pisses me off. But that is an actual thing. Psychologically, it is 100% a thing. It is the reason why kids do drugs and have sex at early ages. It goes so much. It's the reason why little toddlers fight with each other. It is a deep-rooted thing. And that's what they got them with. I 100% agree with you. My grandma was in that exact boat. She felt it was evil. She felt that the technology coming was evil and didn't want any part of it. But when eBay came out, when she found out about eBay, oh man, I gotta get a computer. I gotta get on this.
My soul is sold,
dude. And yeah, and it all has to do with the infomercials, and it gives you that shit worked on them. It doesn't work on you. That's why infomercials are stupid to anyone but the older generation who it was intended for. I love this product. Me and Nancy use it all the time. Like we're watching there, like this is retarded, and then our great aunt's like, oh shit,
I have to have this.
Nancy and Greg have that. Oh, God.
It makes them think that they don't even know how they lived the day before without this product. As
pretty much, yeah. The resets. It's a reset. Absolutely.
I like that.
So yeah, this has been a very. I feel like we covered a wide range of things, and it's so far just an ending update. It's still delayed. So I don't know how long they will delay this. So far, it's a 2+ hour delay. I don't know if they will continue this into the night or I don't know how that works. But at this moment in time, it is still delayed. So that's interesting. This is the first time that's happened since I've been paying attention. Oh, no, they just started it. They just started it back up. Never mind. Okay.
What lap are they on?
Presumed. 6 laps more. So 114 now.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Dude, man, I hope Bell pulls it out. He was in 32nd place, and next thing you know, quickly he jumped up to top 10, top 5 or something like that. And then he was at 4 when they stopped it. So number 20, the 20th race, 20 date numerology. I had to throw a $5 bill at that one. Sorry. It just had to happen.
Yeah, we'll see. And then, we mentioned this before, but it would be cosmic. What's the word? It would not be cosmic, really, but it would assume so. And for the people that know, who are in the know, would understand if Chris Bell does win this race, that would be a brother going back to back. They're not going to tell you that their brother's going back to back, which is funny because Briscoe has referred to Chris Bell as his brother, by the way. And you
said Briscoe is one day older than Bell, or vice versa?
No, okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that today too, and I was thinking that also, since Briscoe won last week.
Oh yeah, give the older brother the win and the younger brother.
He got his win 1 week earlier, one race earlier. That's what I was hoping. I thought about that earlier. I was like, I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, that would be something that people wouldn't, know going on in the background, that the brothers go back to back. Yeah.
Hey, well, and then just keep in mind, because I was kind of looking forward. I don't think they're going to necessarily follow it, what the race number is, and then that car number.
Yeah,
I think I'm just trying to hit it while it's hot. They did the 19, maybe the 20s kind of lined up where it's definitely plausible that could happen. But I did see, obviously this is the 20th. Was it Bubba Wallace is the 23 car?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was going to look into Bubba Wallace in the 23 car here in a few weeks for the 23rd race. I was going to look in and start crunching that one, but that was just something to
He's been the butt of the joke this year so far. And Christopher Bell is like, this would be a good race for him to win, especially with the narrative going for him right now, because I don't see him going winless. Not with the season he had last year. I don't see them just like throwing this guy out. Not when he was like one of Gibbs' best drivers. So,
dude, whenever he pulled at 32, and then very, very quickly within, I don't know, 30 laps or so, he was already top 10. And then like within another 10 or so after that, he was like top 5. I liked how that looked. The optics of it.
Wouldn't that affect the live betting though?
What's that?
Think about it this way. Wouldn't that really affect the live betting? Because they went into a delay. So there's been tons of time for people to place new bets. True. And now, like, I bet the value on Chris Bell is way lower now that he's sitting 4th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I got it like plus 28, 25.
Like he might have been attempting.
That was some days back. I did it. I put it in like 3 days ago, I think. So, but dude,
for live betting.
And it was before they qualified, and that's what I was kind of kicking myself, because I saw qualifying and I noticed that Briscoe, who won last week, Briscoe qualified 20th is where he started the race. And like I said, this is the 20th race.
Interesting, yeah.
20 date numerology, and I saw that Briscoe qualified 20, and so I was like, shit, he might get his second win in a row on 2 date numerology. You know what I'm saying? So I think personally, I'm thinking Briscoe might go back to back weeks.
You'd have a little bit of a wall to climb, but it's only halfway through the race, so yeah, very doable.
And what today is the 12th, right? Is this correct?
Yeah.
So 7 plus 12, if you want to shorten the date numerology, we got 19 happening right there. And he drives the 19 car. And they do that sometimes in MLB with baseball. If you take the month plus the day and just leave out the year and just worry. I write that on my notes. If I'm decoding a game, I'll have that on there. So 7 plus 12, 19. Sometimes that can play. So he's the 19, 7 plus 12, 19. He qualified 20th. 20 date numerology, 20th race.
Yes, 20 and 19 date numerology. So that's funny too.
Win back-to-back weeks on a 2 date numerology. I think he's got a solid narrative, Briscoe, to pull this out. So yeah,
they love their back-to-backs too. They absolutely love them.
Throw $5 on Briscoe. I mean, I would.
Yeah, do it now while he's in the back. While he's back right now.
I can't do it. I have to drive like 5 miles.
No, I'm not telling you to. I'm just saying if you're going.
No, I'm just saying I can't. Otherwise, I would throw $5 on Briscoe right now.
It's illegal to bet off reservation or something.
Well, no, Georgia. It's illegal. There's no sports betting line in Georgia. I live 5 minutes from the state line, so I see. If I do any picks for sports, it's like a 5-minute drive.
Nice.
Yeah. It's so crazy how it's down to that too. Like literally the app. It's to where the state line sign is. I mean, to the foot. Like it will not work right here, and it will work right there. It's crazy.
Interesting stuff. So yeah. All right, race resumes. Well, it's too bad we weren't able to talk about the finish of the race, but hey, maybe that leaves a little cliffhanger for.
Where's Hocevar at currently?
He's still in 8th.
Because when I was listening at the beginning of the race, like he
was a third at some point.
He took the lead, didn't he?
I didn't know if he had the lead. I saw him, he was at 3rd and 5th, I think.
I remember I was listening to the race be called, and I remember them saying Hocevar was taking off. And I was listening before I saw your community post. So after I saw your community post, I was like, damn, all right, Logan. Because I remember listening to the beginning of the race, and Hocevar was running good. He was. I still
like Bell that we've talked about 100%, but maybe not 100%. But now that creeping decode I did it was interesting. Like if he doesn't win, or maybe he just is a storyline of this race somehow. Who knows? I guess what could be real interesting before we leave, just really quick. Brush up on the standings real quick.
Yeah, I don't like it
whenever they do the weather stuff, it just throws me off. Like if they postpone a game, like in baseball or something like that, and they have to postpone it and play the doubleheader the next day, or it just gets too confusing. Like, are they doing for that makeup game? Are they still using the date numerology and the numbers that were relevant to it from the day before, or is it all both those doubleheader games? Are they going for the next date's numerology? It changes things, you know, and then when you start weighing in weather manipulations on like how my personal opinion, I don't think that any of these games get postponed on accident. I don't think any of these weather delays really happen too much on it. I think some of them maybe happen on accident, but I think a large portion of them are on purpose. This race is a multi-million-dollar event, and they have the technology to be able to create storms or to steer storms or to dissipate a storm. You know, they have this technology. So why would they let some punk ass storm come and ruin and delay their multi-million-dollar race? How much millions, or maybe like, you know,
who does in the average person's mind, who do you think has the deciding power to do something as you know, to okay something as trivial as a sports game being allowing the use of weather manipulation? In my opinion, the more this wears on, and by the way, it's like, why does not every stadium have a top? They still build stadiums without tops. It's like, why? Like, so in my opinion, it is to justify potentially a known use of weather manipulation for games. People know it's going to happen, and they will okay it because they're disgruntled fans. I think disgruntled fans are maybe one of the most outspoken groups that can you know, that will state their opinions and you know, march. Those bitches will march for their game.
Yeah, they'll tear up the city.
Exactly.
Even if they're happy
when they win.
yeah.
That's a threat, dude. These guys are happy. Don't make them mad. Let them tear your shit down. Don't make them mad.
They look like this is what they do when they're having a good time.
Exactly.
Imagine them when they're pissed off. That's when you get people getting thrown off the upper decks and crazy stuff, or like the wild stuff that happened in the parking lot of like Dodgers games and stuff. You know, like I think San Francisco's had some pretty wild beat downs in the NFL and stuff. Or fans.
That's the only game I've ever.
Raiders fans killing people and stuff. It's wild, dude.
I went into Levi Stadium with my Seahawks jersey, no problem. Say
you
something, bitch. Yeah,
that's right, dude. That's what. This was like, I don't know how many years back, but I went. It was my buddy Joe and one of our other buddies, and we had tickets that were, I think it was 15 rows up from the 35-yard line. It was the last season of the Georgia Dome before they blew it down. The Falcons were good back then too. And
was that Vic?
What's that?
Was that Vic?
No, it was Matt Ryan. But it was the very end of because the Kansas City Chiefs. I used to be a Kansas City Chiefs fan when I was all wrapped up in everything. So the Kansas City Chiefs were coming to Atlanta to the Georgia Dome to play the Falcons, and so we had tickets. We had seen the schedule, and so we bought tickets at the 35-yard line, and it was Falcons versus Chiefs. And I wore my
like Chiefs. Priest Holmes, and that was that area, or was that after that?
I'm trying to think. No, it was after Priest Holmes wasn't the running back. I'm trying to think about who was. I think it had Dexter McAllister that used to be at Ole Miss. It was the last tail end of Alex Smith being the quarterback for the. That's
how far out of it I've been for football. Like,
yeah, same thing. But my point being, I wore the Chiefs jersey into the Georgia Dome. You know, my buddies were Georgia fans or Falcons fans. But I wore the Chiefs in there and was stirring shit. It was awesome. It was great. Just pissing people off. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah. There's like a. You can understand the like social. Hijinks that take place at these stadiums, but if it's natural, it's a whole nother thing. And I'm sure that there's a level of natural as far as instinctually to, you know, compete like that. But when you see what it is in organized sports and how it's top down and how it's getting us to behave like monkeys for, almost like we're the entertainment in reality. That's where it's like, it's kind of disheartening that, it's like there's good natured rousing and stuff like that. And then there's what really happened. People getting stabbed at the games and people getting shot in the parking lot and people rioting and stuff like that. It's just like, those are the outcomes that kind of work against our idea of being like in control. Oh, we're not being manipulated. It's like, okay, so you're saying that's how you would act. That's how you just would act without any manipulation. Okay, you're a piece of shit. Then you're a crazy.
It was a total that Falcons Chiefs game. It was a total manipulation and energy harvest. The negative for the home fans in the Georgia Dome. The last
did they get blown out?
Dome too.
Yeah.
Two big team matchups. You know how that game ended?
What?
The Falcons had been down. The Chiefs were seen as like the better team, although this is right after kind of Falcons Super Bowl choke. So, I mean, they still had Roddy White, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, whatever. But the Falcons come back, score a touchdown. And this is where we get into like this, the shit that doesn't make sense and how obvious the rig and the fact that this is not a real game. Okay. Because the Falcons score a touchdown. This is like the end of the game, fourth quarter, a couple minutes left. They drive down the field, score a touchdown. And they're down by 1 to the Chiefs. And instead of kicking the extra point to tie the game,
they go for 2 to win. I think I watched that game because I remember the announcer
interception, and the Chiefs run it back like 103 yards when they only got
just to win by 3. Just to win by 3, yeah.
It wasn't even a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly.
Extra points. So they got 2 points, running it all the way back over 100 yards, and they lost by 3. Oh, dude, my friends, I told you they're Falcons fans, were pissed. They're like, we're leaving. They were just cussing, dude. I think people got in fights. I think multiple ass kickings happened. You know what I mean? I didn't get my ass kicked, luckily.
They're so, I mean, here's what I'll say. I'll end on this because, like, keep in mind, anyone who has still a horse in the race with sports, think about in football, how many games end in like last minute touchdowns and then explain to yourself, why couldn't they do anything they did in that final drive? Why is a 2-minute drill not practiced for the entire game? What is so special about a 2-minute drill that just puts these guys into overdrive and they can do almost no wrong? How many games are decided in the last seconds of a game? Think about that. Think about it, guys. And how many coach mistakes happens? I mean, you're talking to a former Seahawks fan. I watched Russell throw it right to Malcolm Butler when they have Marshawn Lynch just sitting on the side, like, just give it to the homie. Obviously, it was all scripted, but I'm just saying, like, think about it, guys. It's impossible. They give you basically 3 hours of filler and then with commercial breaks, 30 minutes of end game, because there's 8 timeout or 6 timeouts taken. Generally, people save their timeouts, and in the last they get the 2-minute warning, and then each team is taking 3 timeouts in short succession. So you get like 18 commercials to see 2 minutes of football, and you get this like dramatic ending, no matter win or lose, and it's just like it's unexplainable without understanding that this shit is scripted, in my opinion.
Dude, the last 2 minutes of each half takes like a third of the game time, at least, if not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's craziness.
And, for a while, soccer was the last bastion. But now even soccer, in order for – did we talk about that? In order for U.S. to host, they added commercial breaks. Didn't you mention that?
Oh, yeah. Like how capitalistic it is and putting that in there, literally affecting the game. You know what I'm saying? Like changing the way the game's played, adding a whole other water.
Because it has to be. They're technically playing soccer. We forced them to play soccer. It's like, no, we're not playing football. No, football is a different game here. You're playing soccer, motherfucker. And we got commercials at that shit. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging with us. And like we said, there's a couple of homework or a little bit of homework. If you guys have a movie recommendation, it might not be next week. I think this would take not too much, but it would take some form of communication between us within the week in order to, put a show together. But anything you guys recommend, just throw it out there. There's no wrong answers here. There's one wrong answer. Don't let that answer be yours. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just we'll try to watch the movie and do our damnedest at a decode, and then from there, that it's almost like a fun game, because like if it's a movie that well, you'll be able to fill us in on what we missed, and that's kind of what we're doing this for fun and there's an overarching theme about the deception within Hollywood and media too, and that stuff too, but this is really how we should approach a lot of different things, is like spreading information and like sharing information is what I mean. And just, filling in gaps for people where they are. And, this will be I guess a good practice for that moving forward. But yeah, I think that could be a really cool segment. I might even, if it works out that way, I might even make it separate from the like a even separate podcast type of stream thing, as well as doing lives eventually too. Like it'd be so fun to do like a live movie night decode a movie live.
I think it's a great idea, to be honest. Yeah.
So those things just require some doing and some planning on my part. I'm very busy. So, but other than that, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out, and we'll see where that race goes. We got 2 half predictions out there, and we'll see where they land. I think that there's a lot of chance that one of those hits. That's all I'm going to say. And we've let it be known. So we'll see where it goes at the end of the day. But thank you once again, TruthShaman. It's been a great show, and we will see you guys next week.
Always a pleasure, Logan. Always a pleasure. And everyone take it easy.
Later, guys.